Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm, and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Became Konoha's Worst Nightmare. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no time, let's start the story.
All Naruto could hear while running was Iruka concurring with Mizuki that he was a beast. He could have heard Iruka stating that Naruto is a member of the village hidden in the leaves and that he is extremely proud of him if he had waited a few more seconds. Naruto developed a deep and abiding hatred for the village. He wanted to exact revenge on those who treated him like a disease and ignored him as if he didn't exist and existed. There were perhaps only 3 people in the entire village that he truly cared about: Hinata Hyuga, Shikamaru, and the 3rd Hokage. Mizuki approached him as he was running and eventually caught up to him. Mizuki held his demon Shuorikens in both hands and said, "Demon Fox, give me the scroll or I'll kill you where you stand." Naruto simply gave him a glare and prepared to strike. That scroll contains jutsus that can make even the weakest ninja into the strongest in the village. I will learn all of the moves and I will accompany Orochimaru in his quest for the ultimate jutsus, and together the 5 great nations will bow before our might, Mizuki said to Naruto. As Naruto persisted in questioning Mizuki about Orochimaru, he asked, "Orochimaru, is he that powerful to help me become strong? Who is he and why do you want to give him this scroll? Where is he and where can I find him? Is he an enemy of the leaf? Nine-tail fox, stop talking and die." Mizuki hurried Naruto to eliminate him. About 100 shadow clones surrounded Mizuki as Naruto yelled, "Shadow clone jutsu," and started attacking him violently, leaving him in a bloody mess. As Mizuki looked up at him, he was severely battered and unable to stand. "How did you perform that jutsu? You're a failure, the last in class, a buffoon." With a killer instinct in his eyes, Naruto and his shadow clones started to approach him. "Where is Orochimaru? Is he really that powerful? Can he make me strong enough to destroy all of my enemies in the Leaf Village? Tell me now, or what I just did to you will feel like a light rain that came down upon you. I don't know where he is, but you will have to travel to different parts of the world to find him. He never really stays in one spot for long. You won't make it outside of the Fire Country. They have every available ninja waiting to kill you and take back the scroll. It's something they will enjoy doing to a beast like you, Nine-tail Fox." As Mizuki began to smile. As Naruto gazed at all of his clones, each one took off in different directions. "They'll never catch me. When I return to this village it will burn and all will know it was me who destroyed their precious little village. I'm the disease they made. Their own monster that will be their destruction," he said. Naruto prayed that he would assist Orochimaru in training so that he could return and exact revenge on those who treated him like a disease as he got ready to go in search of him. His mind was racing with evil ideas when he said, "I swear, believe it, I will return so strong even their Hokage will not be able to stand against me." This. Naruto began to run as quickly as he could in order to escape the village that had mocked him since the day of his birth. In the meantime, the Anbu ninjas arrived to treat Iruka's wounds as he lay on the ground, bleeding to death. "His injuries are serious, we better take him to the hospital so he has a chance to survive," the Anbu wearing the wolf mask said. "Wait, Naruto is innocent. It's Mizuki who tricked Naruto and told him to steal the scroll. Help Naruto before Mizuki kills him. Naruto might be upset. Mizuki told him about the village rule not to tell him he has the nine-tail fox sealed inside him. Iruka was unconscious due to his wounds." The others tracked down Naruto while the Anbu ninjas assisted Iruka. They saw Mizuki lying out from his wounds as they got closer. The Anbu shook Mizuki violently to wake him up, asking, "Where is the child? What did you do with the scroll?" He was promptly questioned about the location of the scrolls by the other members of the Anbu as they arrived. As more ninjas arrived to assist in recovering the village's jutsu secrets, Mizuki simply laughed. The 3rd Hokage showed up and gave Mizuki a direct look as she continued to laugh. "Where is Naruto and the scroll? Talk now and we will hold off the treason by the death penalty if we receive the scroll back." "Gone. He has the eyes of a true demon of revenge. Like I told Iruka, he will pour his soul into his training, learning everything from the scroll, and he will release his anger and hatred onto all in the village that despised him for being the nine-tail fox. This village just doomed itself because of their prejudice against him. You will know destruction of hate by his hands. A demon born in the leaf." Mizuki chuckled at the 3rd Hokage because it was too late to take action. "3rd Hokage, we weren't able to track Naruto's movement. It looks like there are about 40 or 50 tracks heading in all directions. We called for the special tracking Anbu to give us a hand. Depending on the time frame, he may have a large head start on us. Tracking him could prove very difficult since we actually don't know exactly where he is heading," said the ninja from the Anbu as he to the 3rd Hokage. Third Hokage, we must give the order to subdue Naruto at all cost or all of our secrets will be exposed and the village will be in danger. Danzo came out of a tree. The third Hokage gazed off into the distance, hoping that Naruto would return to the Konoha of his own free will. I will give the order for them to return the scroll and Naruto unharmed. I just hope he hasn't gotten too far. Mizuki grinned evilly, knowing that Naruto would cause suffering to the Hidden Leaf village. The beast will have his day when he gets older. If he could master the Shadow Clone Jutsu in a matter of hours, just think what he will accomplish in a year's time. Motivation for his revenge on the Hidden Leaf village will be the only thing he thirsts for. Naruto pondered whether he could truly get away from the Konoha ninjas as he studied the scroll. He had never left the village, so he didn't know where to go. He initially considered creating shadow clones every half-mile until he could reach a river or find shelter by riding with other travelers. Naruto's first significant break came as he began to run. He was able to contact some travelers who were going to the town of Kyo, which was outside of Fire Country. He was fairly certain that if he kept a low profile, he could hide in one of the towns. Naruto was aware that he lacked a change of clothes and money and that he did not plan ahead. All he could think about as he lay in the carriage was Hinata Hyuga. She smiled and told him that she saw him as a human being rather than a disease, even though he never really spoke to her. He had always found it amusing that the person who blushed when she mentioned his name was the one who somehow came to mind. Despite the fact that Shikamaru and Choji seemed to be friends as well, he was aware that he would need to sever all connections with his old village because he needed the darkness in his heart to accomplish his objectives. The full-sized woman grinned at Naruto and said, "Hey there, short stuff. We're leaving Konoha and going to the Sand Village in 5 days. Where would you like to be left off at?" "The Sand Village sounds good, and on the way I can practice all the way there." Imagination Naruto. "I know I can't ride for free, but maybe I can work for my passage if you like. This part of the country holds no more significance for me," said a trembling Naruto. The big woman grinned, indicating that everything was fine and that he shouldn't worry about it as long as he arrived in the Sand Village without incident. She looked at the young blonde who was shivering from the cold and asked, "Where are your parents?" As Naruto lowered his head in the hopes that she would simply leave him alone, he said, "Dead. I have no one, so I am going to look for someone named Orochimaru who can help me. I believe that he of all people will give me what I am looking for and at the same time give me purpose in life." Naruto lowered his head and started to nod off as the woman left him. In his heart, he knew that this day marked the birth of a new Naruto and that he would never again cry. With his hatred and retaliation, the nine-tailed demon container will obliterate every man, woman, and child in Konohagakure. Naruto was aware that he would be training until the end of the day when he woke up this morning. The big woman entered the back to see how Naruto was doing while she and her husband were stopping by the side of the road to prepare breakfast. She grinned at him and said, "Good morning, brief stuff. Do you want some breakfast?" As he gazed at the big woman, he said, "Yes, that would be nice, and my name is Mikado Tae Shin." "My name Arya. You were so tired yesterday, I just let you rest so that you could feel better in the morning. My husband Kenji is waiting to talk to you." With a grin on her face. Naruto saw her husband building a fire as he woke up, and he appeared to be cursing because he was having trouble keeping it going. He glanced at Naruto as he turned around. In a country bumpkin voice, he said, "Hey boy, would you mind telling me what were you doing in the middle of the road at 1 in the morning?" He gave Naruto a stern look that made him a little uneasy. "Are you in trouble or running away? Because if you were start walking right now," he said. "No, I am trying to find someone who is going to help me, that's all. After you drop me off in the village I will leave you and your wife and I can search for him myself." Kenji concluded that a child like the boy posed no threat and that they could split up once they arrived in the Sand Village. Kenji grinned at the young boy and said, "I have some kid clothes in the back that you can fit, but there are Sand Village clothes if you want to have them." Naruto asked, hoping he had done a good job of hiding his tracks, "Thank you. How long will we be here on the side of the road?" As Kenji began to work on the fire again, he said, "I rode the horses pretty hard for about 4 or 5 hours, and I must give them time to rest properly. You want to go explore? Go ahead, but remember where we are." He picked up the scroll as he was leaving Kenji and moved far from the carriage to practice some of its movements. As he examined every move, he vowed to immerse himself in the scroll's lessons. He became frustrated as he continued to practice because he felt like he was making no progress. He needed a sparring partner because all he was doing was flinging kicks and punches into the air. Then he thought of shadow clones. He sparred with him as he formed around 10, but they were aware of every move he made, and it was challenging to practice against someone who was aware of your next move. "Wait, if they know what I am going to do, maybe if I show each one the scroll's moves, maybe I can learn from them." Each person who made a mistake vanished as they practiced a particular taijutsu stance, and their expertise corrected the others until it was executed correctly. By the time it was all over, Naruto had adopted the Sarutobi Hand.to, hand combat style downpack. Man, if I do this at least 3 times a day, maybe I can have this scroll mastered in a year's time. I will also have to train my body to the fullest, a lot of weight training and chakra control. I might be able to learn my chakra control better through my shadow clones. As Naruto began to reflect, he ignored the pain in his arms and the hunger as he kept on training. He was so determined to go back to the village and demolish it. Upon our arrival back in the village, one of the students at the academy said, "I heard that Naruto ran away from the village and that he injured Iruka Sensei and Mizuki Sensei." The other student began to laugh as he took pleasure in the vicious rumor that was circulating, saying, "Hell, I don't know why he has still lived in the village anyway. I mean, no one likes him and he failed at being a ninja, maybe that's why he went berserk in the first place." Sakura, looking hurt that she was chosen to be on Sasuke's team and would not be able to really put the moves on him until then, said, "You heard that Naruto ran away? Because of his actions, a lot of Junins and Chunin for some reason are looking for him, so we won't get a teacher, they say, for at least 2 months because of that bastard." Hinata was the only one who understood Naruto's heart and spirit and that harming someone was against his nature. "Sakura-chan, you really don't believe that about Naruto, do you? I mean, he plays tricks, but he would never ever hurt anyone from this village." As she appeared stunned by the Uchiha, she said, "Get real, Hinata. I know you like Naruto, but he has always been a troublemaker and he will get what he deserves, right, Sasuke?" He stopped giving Sakura his full attention and said, "I'm with the Hyuga on this one. Naruto doesn't have the skills or the heart to injure 2 Chunin. It's more to it than that, and we will probably never find out the whole truth." Can you believe it, Hinata were on the same team as Sasuke Uchiha? It's like a dream come true, isn't it? She asked Hinata. She blushed when she noticed Sakura's odd expression. "I guess, but I would like to find out about Naruto-kun. I consider him my friend and I will try to find out as much as I can to help him come back to the village. He once stood against 4 boys to protect me. I owe him at least that much to help him." "You really like Naruto. I can't believe it. You know, he would never been a good ninja, he probably would have died on his first mission," as Sakura began to giggle. Without flinching, Hinata defended him by saying, "No, Naruto would have made a great ninja, he tries hard and he puts his heart and soul into everything when he is motivated." She looked at Sasuke again and said, "Oh yeah, that's why he couldn't become a genin." Sasuke wished Sakura would follow Hinata's example and ignore him, talking only about ninja missions, as he gazed at her. When an academy teacher entered, he informed all of the genin that until things were resolved, they would be training and completing D-rank missions. 2 temporary Junins would train them until things stabilize. With a collective sigh, the students left the room to continue practicing their jutsu. Kenji had to assist Naruto into the carriage as he returned because he appeared so exhausted. "Just what the hell were you doing? It looks like you got the hell beat out of you by a mob of people. Well, anyways, here is your food for you, Mikado." As he gobbled up his lunch, he said, "Thank you, I will remember your kindness." He began to laugh at Naruto, saying, "Wow, you have some appetite on you, boy. Most grown men could not eat that fast or that much." He sat by himself in the back, sculpting his chakra until he could control it as they resumed their journey. He began to nod off as he steadily shaped his chakra. He woke up in a dark, deserted factory. He swore that he heard a steel gate howling. "I sense the real you. I know what you want. Give me your hatred and I will give you power beyond your wildest imagination to destroy your enemies. Give me everything evil in your heart and soul and I will give you the power to slay your enemies with a single blow. This I will give you and more if you become one with me, my body of vengeance." Naruto woke up screaming, and then an enormous claw suddenly appeared and pierced his chest. Kenji tried to calm Naruto down as the country chattered, "Hey kid, are you okay? You just scared us and the horses half to death. That must have been one hell of a nightmare." "Yeah, I guess so. He appeared to have just stepped out of hell. Was that a dream or was Kyuubi attempting to reach me? Either way, I don't want to ever speak to him again." Because he was too agitated to sleep again, Naruto just stared at the open road while his fate awaited him. Naruto was thrilled to be just a day and a half away from freedom as he and his traveling companions started to make their way to the border. Kenji glanced back at Naruto as he decelerated to take a short rest. "Well kids, for the last 3 days every time we pull over and rest you'll disappear, so I will see you in about an hour?" With a grin on his face. The old couple seemed to genuinely care about Naruto, and he began to like them. All he could do was hope his village would be as kind to him as they were. Naruto chose to record all of the information on paper for his own use as he seized the scroll. He made the decision that he needed to remain hidden from everyone and that carrying the scroll about would be too noticeable. After writing everything down for about an hour, he made the decision to burn the scroll. He left the carriage and headed into the desert, far from it. When he came to a small wooded area, he collected some wood and built a fire, but then 3 Konoha Chunin and an Enbu ninja suddenly surrounded Naruto. The fat Chunin, who looked like a member of the Akamichi clan, said, "Okay, fox bastard, give us the scroll or we take it from you and take you back dead." The Anbu yelled, "Knock him out and get the scroll." "Shadow clone jutsu," Naruto exclaimed as he made his hand signal to start fighting. The 4 Konoha ninjas were too strong for the shadow clones as they attacked. He was hit in the back of the neck by one of the Chunin, who exclaimed, "You are way out of your league here, bastard," before striking him from behind. Naruto heard all 4 of them discussing the elderly couple in the carriage who got into a fight with them and were unintentionally killed as he lay dazed. At the top of his lungs, Naruto yelled. Even out here, the village has deprived him of human compassion. A couple who were like friends to him were taken away, leaving him once more alone and hopeless. Why they did nothing but help me, they gave me shelter, they did not see a monster, only a boy. Naruto cried out as he struggled to free himself from his chains and screamed like a savage animal. Chunin, who was overweight, said, "Shut up, you little shit. You may have been the weapon, but you're the reason they're dead." Naruto found himself back in that deserted factory as he closed his eyes. Naruto looked at the fox as he ran to the steel gate, and the fox looked back at him. Naruto pleaded for power, saying, "Give me the strength to defeat these ninjas, give me the power to overwhelm them. Give it all to me." "So you wish to have my power to destroy your enemies? Become one with me and your enemies shall be mine and mine's yours. We will rule over all who try to stop us. We will be one as a true Jinchuriki. Combine with me now, Naruto. Let your destiny be fulfilled and let those cower before our power." As Naruto got to his feet, beaten and bound, he began to experience a power surge he had never experienced before. Every muscle felt stronger and his entire body felt like it was charged with electricity. Now all the senses were heightened. With ease, Naruto broke the rope that was holding him. The ninjas could sense that Naruto was releasing a chakra that was making it difficult for them to breathe as they stared at him. As one of the Chunin looked at Naruto, he released a swarm of bugs to drain Naruto's chakra. Naruto's chakra swirled around him, and as soon as the bugs touched him, they all died. With lightning speed, Naruto punched the bug handler so forcefully that he spat blood. "Do it, Naruto, finish them all off. Leave no one alive or they will come and kill you," shouted the Kyuubi. The Anbu ninja quickly tried a jutsu to stop Naruto. However, Naruto moved so swiftly that he easily broke his neck before he could finish. After considering what had transpired, the other 2 Chunin made the decision to cooperate in order to defeat Naruto. Naruto moved between them as easily as a seasoned ninja could as they launched their kunai's attack. He took the chubby ninja by the arm and snapped it with no effort at all. With a tremendous stomp, Naruto kicked the ninja to the ground and swiftly snapped the middle of his back with his foot, causing him to fall screaming in pain. When the other ninja saw this, they ran away in fear, not wanting to be killed by a real demon. After bending down and snatching the sword from the fallen ninja's back, Naruto quickly caught up to the escaping ninja and cut off both of his legs and arm. Naruto just stared at him while he screamed in pain. The Kyuubi howled with a joy in his heart that he hadn't experienced in centuries. "Kill him, feel his fear, live off it, breathe from it, cherish it, just don't leave him there, he is the only one left. You have the power of life and death in your hands, let him know the penalty for attacking us is death." Since Naruto's eyes were now red, he said, "No, let him go back to his village and let him tell everyone that a true Jinchuriki will return one day and that we will destroy my village that is true fear. I feel your hatred and revenge and it exceeds my own. You young Uzumaki are my spirit of vengeance made flesh and I am your pillar of strength in your soul. 2 spirits inhabit this one vessel and it's unbreakable. Learn more jutsus so we can rule this ninja world. Find Orochimaru and learn from him. Then find Madara Uchiha and learn from him. Once we learn from Madara we will kill him and Orochimaru. First we must become truly strong and then we will be recognized in their eyes as a weapon that they want to possess. But we will be the weapon of their destruction." Their presence felt in Naruto felt like he could accomplish anything aid. Naruto could not believe the power he felt. It had been inside him all along, just waiting to be released. He made his way back to the carriage as the power went out. He saw his 2 traveling companions dead as he got closer to the carriage. The fact that they were merely attempting to assist a stranded child only made Naruto even more enraged. After removing them from the carriage, Naruto buried his two new friends. Naruto hurried back into the carriage, but he had no idea where he was going. "Keep straight, Uzumaki. You will head straight for the Sanagakure, then we will start there for information on Orochimaru and learn some new skills because our quest for revenge is just beginning," in his head as the Kyuubi spoke to Naruto. It was unbelievable to Hinata that no one knew Naruto's location after 4 days as she walked home with Sasuke and Sakura. She saw that a large number of the adults showed little concern, and their kids essentially shared this sentiment. He seemed to have been brought to the village as a curse, but nobody would explain why. As she waited for the prodigy to respond, Hinata asked, "Sasuke, do you think that Naruto is a traitor? Although it's just rumors, no one will confirm if it's true or not." "The rumor about some scroll gone missing. Yeah, I heard it, but I don't believe it. How could he of all people sneak into the Hokage's home and steal something so priceless and not get caught? I bet it's just one of Naruto's pranks that he probably played on someone he shouldn't have and he got scared and ran away from the village for a little while till things cooled down, that's all." With a sneer, Sasuke replied, "Inquire about anything else." Sakura continued to criticize Naruto, saying, "Why are you so worried about him? He's parentless, obnoxious, and aggravating. If he had parents, they would be ashamed of him." Sasuke turned to Sakura abruptly and with disgust. As Sasuke said goodbye to the two girls, he was completely disgusted by Sakura's tirade about Naruto. "He acts out because of loneliness. That's a hell I wish on no one. Get away from me, you're annoying and troublesome." Sakura stood there, bewildered and hurt. Sasuke's cruel remarks were awful enough, but it was unbearably humiliating to say them in front of Hinata. Hinata smiled at Sakura in an attempt to lift her spirits a little. "Sakura-chan, Sasuke really didn't mean those things he said. He is Uchiha and you have heard about the way they act, so don't take it personally." Sakura began to reflect on all the occasions when Naruto had practically pleaded for her attention and she had treated him cruelly, and she began to question whether he felt the same way about her treatment of him as Sasuke did of her. She resolved to alter her behavior and perspective toward him upon his return. Hinata said a little prayer to herself, hoping that Naruto-kun would simply return to the village. "Please come back to the village, come back safely, and will I stay by your side as a true friend?" she said. "For some reason I believe you are destined to help the people of the Konoha." Naruto pondered the nature of the village as he got closer to the Sanagakure. He pondered the food, the people, and the music despite the stark differences in clothing. He came to a pole with a wanted list on it as they got close to the halfway point. When Naruto picked up the paper, he saw that it was a drawing of himself. He felt incredibly grateful that he had never wanted to take a photo, or else it would have been displayed on the pole in place of this illustration and synopsis of him. Because it revealed so much about his facial features, including his golden hair and blue eyes, Naruto became alarmed. As Naruto began to believe he would be safe nowhere, he said, "There is no way I can get past the guards. My face and hair is a dead giveaway. I have to find another village to go to where the Konoha can't reach me." In an attempt to soothe the young boy, the Kyuubi said, "Don't worry, go to the back of the carriage and pick up the mirror and look at it." Naruto saw that his hair was changing and that his whisker lines were fading as he examined himself in the mirror. He saw that his eyes had also changed color as he stood there staring into the mirror. He was shocked when the transformation was finished. His eyes were as dark as the night, and his hair was jet black. Despite his shock at the transformation, Naruto wished he could go back to his previous appearance. When he returned, he wanted the Konoha to see the real Naruto, not a fake. "Don't worry, you can always go back to the way you used to look. For now keep up this pseudo and our goals will be complete," the Kyuubi replied. He was stopped and rode the horses to the front of the gate as he made his way back to the front of the carriage. They questioned him about his whereabouts and the people he knew in the village. He was eventually allowed to pass after using the Kyuubi to assist him in answering each question. He saw someone running to his carriage as he grinned at the success of his charade. The authoritative guard exclaimed, "Get out and come with me right now." He began to feel apprehensive as Naruto walked, and he stared at him as they got closer to a very skilled-looking ninja. The ninja at Naruto's side gazed at him in disgust and asked, "Who the hell is this kid?" As he stood there grinning at the upper ninja for approval for taking his work seriously, he said, "I think it's the kid the Leaf Village is looking for." "You moron, look at him, he doesn't have one bit of the characteristics that was described. He isn't even using a henge, so tell me, you idiot, do you see facial features of whiskers? Do you see blonde hair and blue eyes? Let the boy through and don't come back with any more of your nonsense," said the skilled-looking ninja. But he rode in alone. "I am from the village Bali. Ling the village hidden in the heat. Kenji and Arya are my godparents and they are traveling with my cousins to every village for trade. They wanted me to come here and go to school but I wanted to travel with them but they wouldn't hear of it. Naruto told the lie with his teeth. I know of them, they have a house on the hill but they never really stay in the village that long, maybe a week or two. They did the right thing leaving you here to get educated. Welcome to the village and sorry about that dumb ass for holding you up for so long. He's a genin and wants to prove himself, take care. Naruto was happy that he listened carefully to Arya's accounts of her and Kenji's months-long travels. He noticed the house the ninja had indicated on the hill as he was riding. Naruto was appreciative of its small size and solitude. The Kyuubi started talking as soon as they arrived at the house. Get to training now. You need strength and skills, you need anger and hatred in your heart to be stronger than what we are now. The Kyuubi replied. I'm by myself, I need a sparring partner. You saw what happened with the Konoha ninjas. I had the technique but not the experience to use it. It's like playing shogi, I can read and understand all the strategy in a board game but if there is an odd move that don't make sense then I am a lost. Just like with the ninjas, each one had a different set of skills that I never seen. I could not adapt quick enough and you had to step in. Naruto replied. Fine, I will be your opponent, make a shadow clone and stand back. The Kyuubi replied. When Naruto followed instructions, a shadowy Naruto emerged and gazed at him. He ran toward Naruto at full speed while he was staring at him, knocking him back at least 2 feet. He was assisting Naruto in sparring through a shadow clone, and Naruto recognized the clone as the Kyuubi as he gazed at it. Naruto stood up and immediately began retaliating, employing every move he had learned from the taijutsu scrolls. The clone moved with incredible speed as Naruto attacked it, making it difficult for Naruto to read its movements. Naruto felt himself being overpowered by punches and kicks as the shadow clone kept launching its assault on him. The clone, who sounded like the Kyuubi, yelled, "Concentrate or our revenge will never happen." Naruto was badly beaten but in a good mood after they sparred for about an hour. He realized that fighting a strong person would only make him stronger. Naruto, barely able to stand, glanced at the clone, who nodded and vanished. Excellent preparation for today. Now, review the ninjutsu moves and retrieve the papers you wrote from the scroll down. Naruto observed at least 6 extremely intricate ninjutsu moves as he examined the moves. The Kyuubi yelled instructions into Naruto's head, saying, use the shadow clone jutsu and have them practice it, their knowledge will come back to you so you can learn the moves quicker. Naruto then created 100 clones, each of whom examined the papers as they were distributed in the numbered list. 1. Jutsu Shadow Clone 2. Shadow Dance in Sarutobi. 3. Shadow Clone Jutsu Exploding 4. Angel Jutsu's Wind Sword, only for wind style users. 5. Light to Dark Step Jutsu, high stamina and chakra requirements, no hand seal needed. 6. There are only 2 known users of the Rasengan. Level 4 Chunin technique. Jiraiya the Toad Sage and the 4th Hokage. The creator and known user of this technique is Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage. Since he had already mastered the Shadow Clone Jutsu, the Shadow Clones decided to start with the Exploding Clone Jutsu after reading the paper. The Kyuubi in Naruto's mind grinned as all the clones practiced the new jutsu. You will surpass the 4th Hokage before you turn 18, making you an absolutely amazing sight to witness. For attempting to enslave me with his eyes in the Konoha 12 years ago, you will bring me Madara Uchiha's head. Madara, you will experience my physical vengeance. The Kyuubi began to chuckle. Hinata was unsure of how to inquire about Naruto as she went up to her father. May I ask you a question regarding Naruto Uzumaki, father? She lowered her head as though in embarrassment. What makes you curious about him? As he shuffled through his papers, Heishi remarked, he is not important at this time. The village has many more concerns than to worry about than his safety. Is he in danger? Hinata raised her head to look into her father's eyes. Not from the village, but it's a dangerous place outside these walls of the Konoha. Heishi sighed deeply as he gazed into his daughter's eyes. We'll locate Naruto and return him safely. Naruto must stay in this village because he is vital to it. Does the village value him? Why? A very interested Hinata asked. Heishi dismissed the remainder of his daughter's inquiries and said, let's just say he has a legacy here. Hinata wondered about her father's last comment about legacy as she watched him leave. Did Naruto belong to a clan in Konoha? If so, to whom? As she left the Hyuga estate, Hinata went to see if any of Iruka's statements could lead to Naruto. Iruka was severely injured and barely conscious when she arrived at the hospital. Hinata was unaware of the severity of his injuries. Iruka glanced to his right and saw Hinata looking very frightened, and he gestured for her to approach, sensing that she had something to say. "Hinata, what is it?" Iruka put on a brave front for Hinata, saying, "Don't worry, it's not as bad as it looks. I'll be out before you know it." "I apologize, Iruka. Sensei. I understand your pain, but what happened to Naruto-kun? He hasn't returned, and there are a ton of rumors circulating wildly," Hinata said, glancing at her sensei. "Naruto is still not back. No way. Was Naruto killed by Mizuki?" Iruka began to stand up and remove a few of the tubes attached to his body. As the doctors forced her to leave, Hinata felt dizzy from hearing the news and decided to see if she could dig a little deeper to get the whole truth about Naruto's disappearance. She knew she would need help, so she went to ask Sakura Haruno, the one person who didn't really like Naruto that much, because every nurse and doctor rushed in to calm him down and put him back to bed, but the more they tried, the more he resisted. Hinata looked in horror at the entire situation, thinking that Iruka was seriously hurt and that Naruto might have been killed by Mizuki, sensei. As a couple of days passed, everyone in the village was talking about how an Anbu and some Chunin ninja died on a mission. The other two that returned came back crippled, one missing an arm and both legs, the other paralyzed from the waist down. The one missing his appendages was now in a psychiatric ward, and the other ninja could not remember anything other than that he was punched maybe by Naruto at a blinding speed. All the Anbu tried to hypnotize him to remember the situation, but to no avail. The more Hinata and Sakura looked for information on Naruto, the less they found, and sometimes nothing at all. It was like everything was being erased about Naruto, and it was being done on the highest level with no mistakes. Sakura was starting to worry now about Naruto. True, he wasn't her favorite, but to be erased like you never existed was cruel. Hinata decided that she would keep searching, and she thought of Shikamaru. He was sort of friend to Naruto, and she heard that he was very smart. Maybe between the three of them, maybe they could bring Naruto back to the Konoha. After 4 months in the Sand Village, Naruto's jutsu had grown so much that the Kyuubi already believed he was far ahead of a Chunin and only a few steps away from being a Junin. Naruto, with the aid of his shadow clones, was able to accelerate the process by at least 15 times. He had mastered all the taijutsu moves, but was struggling with 2 ninjutsu moves: the Wind Sword of the Angel and the Rasengan. Despite his best efforts, he was unable to fully understand the Rasengan technique, so he assumed it was a lost cause because he could only reach the second step. In order to toughen him up, the Kyuubi would train with Naruto every day by assuming the form of a shadow clone and fighting him to the best of his abilities. At the age of 13, the Kyuubi noticed that Naruto's body began to get very muscular, and that his determination to destroy the Konoha rivaled his own rage and hate. Naruto had enrolled in the Sand Village Academy at the Kyuubi's request. Apparently, the Kyuubi wanted Naruto to learn more techniques than just the scroll he had stolen. Naruto felt that it was a waste of time because he could not stand out and had to be far below average, so his skills would not draw attention to himself. Eventually, however, Naruto began to enjoy the academy because he was learning a new jutsu from another village that helped increase his potential, no matter how small. Because Naruto rarely spoke and never hung out with anyone at school, many students believed that he was antisocial. Every day, Naruto would bring his schoolwork home, go to his part-time job, and practice his jutsu by creating at least 50 shadow clones, which would allow him to master the technique in a matter of weeks rather than months or years, depending on its level. "I've taken you as far as I can, Naruto. You need to find another sparring partner. We need victims to see how far you've come, even though you're the ideal tool for retaliation. In order to find out if they know of Orochimaru who can help us advance, we must ask questions here." The Kyuubi, who was in a clone's body, said, "We need more jutsus to be complete. It's easier said than done. I can't give the students my all because that would draw unwelcome attention to us. An investigation into the attacks on the villagers would begin if we went and selected random victims, some of whom might be able to fight and others who might not." As he spoke to the Kyuubi in his mind, Naruto said, "We need strong fighters that can take punishment and be able to kill us with their skills." Naruto knew the Kyuubi would not let up unless he found someone strong or someone who was on his level. Then Naruto had an idea. Bandits that preyed on weary travelers, no one would miss them, and many bandits were rogue ninjas that fell on hard times. As Naruto told the Kyuubi his plan, he could hear the Kyuubi laughing as to say job well done. As Naruto made plans for his targets, the Kyuubi told Naruto to start reading books such as Modern Warfare, The Art of Espionage and Close Quarter Combat Scenario to make his mind sharp. Naruto hated reading, but if he did not, he would never rest because the Kyuubi would howl at him for not following orders all through the night in his head and nag him all morning until it was done. As Naruto made 2 clones, each one grabbed a book and started reading. As the one clone finished reading the book in 5 hours uninterrupted, he vanished and Naruto gained its knowledge. When the other clone finished, it did the same thing and vanished, leaving Naruto just a little bit wiser. Now Naruto had just finished his book and was deadbeat tired from all of that reading. "Naruto, you have one more book to read and then we will make our plans for the bandits," the Kyuubi replied. "Hey, I'm sick of reading. I've already read 3 fucking books. Then you want me to prepare for the bandits tonight and read another lengthy, dull book?" Inside his head, Naruto screamed at his host. The Kyuubi said, "Read the title, you'll enjoy this book." Konoha Bloodline Families. A breakdown of its Fire Country clans was the title of the book Naruto was looking at. "I picked this up at the library at what time?" Now that he was eager to read the book, Naruto declared, "This is the book I should have read first." "You young cub, do you really lack patience or awareness of your surroundings? As I read the book titles, I told you to pick them up, but you paid absolutely no attention." In Naruto's mind, the Kyuubi raised its voice. As Naruto sat down to read the book, he said, "That wasn't a library, it was a mausoleum." When he heard the Kyuubi speak, he began packing up some ninja tools because it was getting close to nighttime when he finished reading it. "This is where you were supposed to be, so leave your ninja weapons here and just use your jutsu. If you can't defeat these vagrants using the techniques you learned, then this is your destiny," the Kyuubi said angrily. Naruto felt uneasy about not using his tools, but he believed the Kyuubi was correct in both claims. Naruto hurried to the carriage, mounted the horses, and made his way to the gate, where he heard gatekeeper Kimiko greet him. "How are you, Mikado? You don't intend to leave the village this evening, do you?" With concern in her voice, Kimiko said, "Maybe you should wait until tomorrow morning when it's safer. After all, the desert is a goldmine for thieves targeting defenseless road travelers." Naruto said with a fake smile and more lies, "I'm not going that far. I'm supposed to meet my relatives halfway and receive some supplies, that's all. I'll be okay." Even though Kimiko appeared concerned, she opened the gate for Naruto as he rode out of the village, and the Kyuubi continued to go over the strategies for getting rid of the bandits as he did so. There was no sign of life on the road, so he pulled over and set up camp for about 2 hours while they were traveling. He waited patiently for something to happen. "Perhaps I ought to take a stroll to see if I can track down these bandits. I hope this wasn't a huge waste of time because nobody has been coming or going on this road," Naruto said aloud. Naruto noticed a campfire a short distance down the road as he began to move farther down it. As the Kyuubi sensed the negative energy from the campfire, he said, "Follow that trail to the camp and you will find the bandits down the road. There are 11 of them. Hurry before they decide to leave." "How can you be certain that it might be a group of kids or roadside tourists?" questioned Naruto about how he knew they were present. The Kyuubi was thrilled about the possible massacre his ship was going to carry out. "I feel their hatred. Follow the path to the campfire, there you'll put your skills to what you learned to the test." Naruto went straight to the fire and warmed his hands over the flame as he walked the path he had walked dead in the middle of the camp. "What the devil?" A muscular-looking ninja brandishing a battle axe said, "Some kid just walked into the camp like he owns the damn place." The short, knife-wielding man said, "This kid is definitely off his rocker. Just kill him and let's get back to more important things." "That's funny, I feel 11 chakra signatures but I only see 10 of you assholes. Oh well, I guess practice is practice, I'll find the other asshole later." When the 2 outlaws got up, Naruto simply shook his head. His speed made him a blur, and he killed both of them with a single blow. He grabbed both of his opponent's knives from their side, moved quickly between them, and stabbed them deep into their hearts. The outlaws were shocked to see the bodies hit the ground. It was as if they had blinked, and both men were lying on the ground, stretched out dead. All 8 bandits then got up, assuming that he was unarmed and that it would be easier to kill him, and that he was just a snot-nosed little kid who was probably lucky. As Naruto got in his stance to pounce on his prey, he waited patiently like a wolf preying on a lamb. As they rushed him, Naruto quickly evaded the man with a battle.ax by sidestepping him and striking him in his Adam's apple so hard he backed up choking. 2 men rushed him at the same time with their swords. Naruto grabbed the outlaw's wrist and spun and kicked his legs from underneath him. He caught the taller swordsman's by the arm and kicked the hilt of the sword so it flew high in the air. Naruto concentrated his chakra into his fist and struck the bigger swordsman so hard by his heart it stopped his heart from beating instantly. Naruto caught the sword on its way down and stabbed the taller swordsman on the ground through the neck with his own sword. As the other 5 bandits rushed Naruto, he quickly pulled out the sword in the man's neck and threw the sword at the closest bandit, cleaving one of the bandit arm off. As they confronted Naruto, he evaded every attack the outlaw threw at him ease. As Naruto struck each bandit's kidney, liver, eyes and heart, they all hit the ground with extreme force and couldn't move because of the well-placed blows on their vital organs. The large man with the battle.ax seeing this attacked Naruto while he stayed stationary. The large man with the battle.ax was so terrified that he did not notice Naruto would move only at the last second every time to avoid the axe on a downward thrust. "You are truly a moron, aren't you?" The bandit followed Naruto's finger as he pointed down, saying, "You just killed your own teammates by trying to smash my head in." The last bandit looked at Naruto and backed up in terror, ready to flee from this tiny, pint-sized demon, but he stopped in his tracks and fell dead from a kunai to the back from a young-looking man wearing glasses. The large bandit couldn't believe it. He was so terrified of this killer demon child that he wasn't paying attention to his surroundings. "There is no honor among thieves, and the 11th bandit killed his own. That leaves just you and me, I suppose." Naruto was now prepared for a new battle. "You truly are an interesting kid with strength I never seen before and movement as fast as the wind itself, but don't think that I'm some common thief. I came to destroy this band of robbers from ever stealing from my master ever again, but you beat me to the punch," said the young man wearing glasses. Naruto swore at his opponent in front of him, saying, "Talk, talk, talk. This ends now so I can go home get some sleep as well as something to eat. I'm starving over here, you four-eyed geek." Naruto could not believe that this young man with the glasses was better than anyone he had ever encountered in his life as they clashed. He could easily match Naruto's speed, and his incredible taijutsu forced Naruto to retreat and take his time devising a strategy for dealing with such a formidable foe. The young man with the glasses made a hand gesture and his hands began to glow with chakra as Naruto gazed at him. As he started to worry about the security of his container, the Kyuubi said, "Be careful, cub. This kid is no ordinary bandit. He seems to be methodical as you are, and I believe he is holding back just as you were with a trump card of his own." Naruto started to move more strategically to counter his opponent's advances, asking, "I know, and what's that strange hand jutsu he just made?" The young man hit Naruto across the back as he hurried past him, causing all of his shoulder muscles to go limp. Naruto whirled around and attempted to kick his opponent, but his foot felt as though it had died and was blocked by the hands of that weird glowing jutsu. Naruto could see his attacker knew he had total control of the situation as he limped back. Naruto regretted not packing some weapons. "I must say you truly are impressive individual, but it's time for you to go the netherworld, my young little friend," said the man with the glasses. As he hurried Naruto with his glowing hand, Naruto executed the Sarutobi shadow dance flawlessly, avoiding his attack and using a burst of chakra from his hand and foot to punch and kick his joint, breaking the young man's wrist and ankle. The young man turned to Naruto and grinned broadly as he retreated from the agony. He got up and waited for his attacker to attack again. "My master would have loved to meet you, a perfect weapon, uncaring, ingenious, and bold. Orochimaru, it seems my time may draw short against this demon child. I hope I can kill him to make you proud." "Wait, you know Orochimaru? Take me to him, I need to speak with him. He is the only one who can help me become better than I am. He is essential to our plans," Naruto replied. The man in the glasses retreated to see exactly what this boy's goal plan was and why he needed Orochimaru. "Our plans? Who are you working for, kid? Why should I trust you? You're nothing but a cold-hearted killer." Naruto's eyes began to glow red with rage, triggering his suppressed anger for vengeance. "I haven't killed any innocents yet, but I will get those who tortured me with loneliness and hatred retribution from that abuse I took for years by their hands. I so far only took out the ones who deserve it and the ones who came after me." When the young man saw this, he was a little taken aback. He glanced up and down at the child, thinking that his master would be interested in meeting someone who was so close to learning the ninja way of destruction at such a young age. "In 2 weeks, we will meet 3 miles away by the wall known as Serenity. You will meet Lord Orochimaru there. Kabuto is my name. What is yours?" "I'll tell your master directly when I see him." Naruto's injuries from Kabuto were not life-threatening, but they hurt like hell, so he started to limp away from him and went home. "Well done, cub. You had to defeat a lot of tough opponents today with just your bare hands, and you came out stronger as a result. However, you still need more training." As the Kyuubi instilled his pride in his young cub, he said, "When you get home, make more shadow clones than you ever made and increase all of your jutsu because we need to be prepared just in case that glass-wearing freak double crosses us. You want me to go home and practice at 3 in the morning after I just finished fighting someone who could have killed me and I'm hurt? Cub, this battle ought to have inspired you even more to outskill him. Be stronger than him so that you can quickly kill him the next time. Naruto grinned, knowing that the Kyuubi was correct, but he was proud of what he had done tonight and didn't care if he had to practice for 64 hours straight. He was going to make sure that no one could match his abilities. Sakura and Shikamaru wanted Hinata to stop looking for Naruto because she was shocked by what she had heard. Hinata's eyes started to well up with tears as she said, "No, I refuse to give up on Naruto. He's my friend and he could be in serious danger. Hinata, I'm not telling you to totally forget about Naruto, but he may be dead. Isn't that what Iruka-sensei believes? I mean, you said it yourself. He said that Mizuki had killed Naruto," said Sakura without any feelings in her voice. "No, I said probably could have. Naruto, if one thing is a survivor and you want me to give up on him," as she began to cry now. "Listen Hinata, I know you don't want to hear this, but every time we think we have a lead it ends up being a dead end. I know that someone is deliberately erasing Naruto information, but it could be the council doing Naruto a favor. Everyone in this village seems to have some dislike for Naruto for some unknown reason, but maybe Mizuki did kill Naruto and they are keeping it buried to honor him. That's why Mizuki may be serving a life sentence for being a child murderer. Look at the villagers, no one seems to care except for us. We have to start our genin training now. It will be difficult. Things are just starting to get back to normal after nearly 5 months after Naruto disappeared. The Chunin are really going to work us after that delay. They say we may have to wait 2.5 to 3 years to be considered Chunin because of that Naruto incident. All I'm saying is we will look for more evidence after we do our training. I'll even ask Choji to give us a hand." Shikamaru gave a smirk to say, "You can trust me." Sakura gave her friend a hug and said, "Yeah, I will have Ino to help also." Hinata made the decision to set aside time after her training to continue looking for her friend after realizing she was outnumbered in the situation. At the Tower of Hokage, my retrieval team could not find Naruto Uzumaki. It's like he just vanished off the face of the planet. We first believe he was in the Sand Village, but we searched there perfectly. We even investigated the cage to see if he had Naruto a prisoner. My suggestion is to forget about Naruto and focus on making the genin stronger. Naruto is Naruto is dead and we should not waste not another minute searching for a lost cause," said the Anbu in the dog mask. In response to Naruto, the third Hokage glared at his Anbu foot soldier and said, "Am I not the Hokage of this village? It is not your place to tell me to stop searching for Naruto. Your job is to find him at all costs. We have the scroll now, we need him back. Naruto is important to this village and we will bring one of our own home." "Forgive me Lord Hokage, I was out of line. Someone else is also looking for Naruto. Hinata Hyuga, Sakura Haruno and Shikamaru Nara. I have been able to get rid of all evidence about Naruto and store it at the Hokage Black Ops vault, but they are very thorough in their search. I was wondering if I should talk to their parents to make them stop looking," said the Anbu ninja while remaining on a kneeling position. The third Hokage grinned as he peered out the window and said, "No, I don't want them to give up hope. They are searching for a friend, and if this give them comfort knowing they are looking for Naruto, who are we to take it away?" That someone took the time to help search for Naruto made him happy. He had never seen the third Hokage so enraged, especially over Naruto Uzumaki, as the Anbu left the office. "What's so special about this kid anyways? Hell, most people in this village is ecstatic that the bastard is no longer around." They could tell things were going badly as he walked up to his squad. They all waited for the bad news while leaning against the wall. The Anbu in the wolf mask inhaled deeply before saying, "We have to continue the search for the fox kid, simple and plain. The third Hokage wished for us to proceed and look for any leads concerning Naruto Uzumaki." "What leads?" "2 dead shinobi. 1 crazy ninja and a cripple who can't remember anything past yesterday. He asks for the impossible. The kid is dead, simple and plain. There is no way he could survive this long by himself," said the Anbu wearing a hawk mask who was his fellow soldiers. As the female Anbu in the snake mask pointed to the academy where Hinata was enrolled, she said, "Well, we can start with Hyuga girl. She seems to care for Naruto. Maybe he told her where he would go if he was going to leave the village. We probably can catch her after school to talk to her." Hinata was surrounded by ninjas as she made her way home for Anbu. Hinata's first thought was that they were trying to find Naruto and wanted her to stop getting in the way. "Yes, what do you want with me?" she asked, stuttering every time she spoke. The female Anbu wearing the snake mask asked, "Naruto Uzumaki, do you know where he would go if he were to leave the village?" In the hopes that her prayers would be heard, Hinata's heart raced. "Is Naruto still alive?" The other Anbu exclaimed, "Answer the question." Hinata started to worry once more. Was Naruto really still alive? He never stated where he would go. This village is his home. he would never leave it voluntarily. Did Naruto ever talk to someone outside the village? Enough of your questions, I want some of my questions answered right now. Hinata spoke up to obtain information about her friend, which she found shocking. As she gazed unyieldingly into their masks, she said, Naruto is a survivor, he would not roll over and die easy for no one. Ask Mizuki, he knows everything. In fact, take me to see Mizuki, I could get him to answer where Naruto is at. The Anbu was at a loss for ideas and did not know what to do. That being said, they would never send the Hyuga clan's heir to prison. They were aware that the Hokage would face Heishi Hyuga. They all understood that a young girl would have little chance if Mizuki could withstand the Anbu ways of refusing to cooperate. I think we should take her, we're running out of ideas and time. If Naruto is alive, we cut our chances down dramatically of where to look. We all don't want to search for him the next 20 years, do we? Said the Anbu wearing a wolf mask. They all knew that their action would have dire repercussions, but they were at a loss for ideas and told Hinata to follow them. When Hinata entered the prison, she was escorted to a room with the accompanying Anbu and 4 other ninjas. They weren't taking any chances with her safety, and she knew it. She wondered what the guard was whispering to Mizuki as she was being led inside. With a self-centered attitude, Mizuki asked, well, if isn't cute and cuddly Hinata Hyuga, what do I owe the honor for your visit? Her sole response was, Naruto Uzumaki. You like that beast, don't you? I see the way stared at him when you were in class at the 9. Watch your tongue, Mizuki, or you will really have it hard in here. So far you had it easy, but I can send you to the murderers' part of the prison and tell them that you killed a child. They would love to get their hands around your neck. Said the guard as he placed his baton on Mizuki's torso. Mizuki balled up his fist and turned to face Hinata. Fine, Naruto, like I said, he ran off. I don't know, I don't care, and hope he dies of great pain for sticking me in this prison for the rest of my life, he said. Hinata shouted louder than she thought she could. Naruto didn't do this to you, you did it to yourself. Naruto did not have the skills to defeat someone like you. You're a Chunin, and Naruto is still in the academy, so don't expect me to believe he put you in here. The guard gave Mizuki a backhand slap for attempting to discuss the Kyuubi with Hinata. Naruto used the shadow clone jutsu on me. He actually pulled it off to perfection. That bastard has a demon in him that can, the guard said. Hinata screamed at the top of her lungs, liar, Naruto can't make any kind of clones properly, that's why he failed at the academy. Took me by surprise as well. The kid had it in him the whole time, he just needed the proper motivation to inspire him to become more fruitful with his jutsu. You can forget it, Naruto isn't coming back, and if he does, he won't be the same as you remember him. Forget about Naruto and concentrate on better things in life than that bastard, he isn't worth remembering. Mizuki detested Naruto as well as the fact that a wealthy family was worried about him. You're wrong, I remember him. I can't sleep at night because I worry for him. I wonder if he's safe and warm and have enough food to eat. I wonder if he misses the village, does he miss me? Every time I try to picture him, I start to remember how people in this village treated him and I get sad. Sadder than I have ever been in my life. I just want him safe, that's all. I want him back in the village where I can see him smile again. Hinata started to weep because of the way he had been treated. Even though he didn't care whether Naruto was still alive, the Anbu wearing the wolf mask felt sympathy for Hinata after witnessing a young girl's anguish over losing Naruto. Immediately, he made the decision that he would do everything in his power to return Naruto to Konoha. It was the least he could do for causing such internal pain in a young girl. Mizuki couldn't help but look down in embarrassment as he gazed at Hinata. He got up in chains and waited for them to open the door so he could go back to his cell, saying, "Take me back to my cell now, I have no more to say here." Hinata got up and was going to go up to Mizuki when the Anbu stopped her. "Please give me any information, I'm begging you," she said. When Mizuki heard the young girl begging for assistance, he came to a complete stop. "I told him about Orochimaru's strength and that he is the only person the Leaf Village cannot oppose. Naruto wanted to leave the village and get strong, so I suspect that he wants to find Orochimaru to fulfill his dream." As Mizuki began to return to his cell, he couldn't understand why he told Hinata of all people. If Naruto was going somewhere, he would start by looking for Orochimaru. If he's still alive, he would seek him out. Orochimaru. What? We must notify the Hokage of this immediately, so act quickly. Take Hinata home safely, please. When Mizuki mentioned that name, the Anbu jumped. Orochimaru is who? Why would Naruto pursue him in an attempt to gain power? Why does that name make everyone so afraid? By the name alone, Hinata could tell that all of the adults were afraid and knew exactly who he was. "Hinata, you have to keep this to yourself and not share what you heard here." The Anbu in the wolf mask gathered his team and declared, "Everyone in this room has sworn to secrecy. Let's go now to the Hokage towers." They hurried to the Hokage as soon as they got Hinata home to report what they had been told, and the Hokage listened to their report with a great deal of alarm because he believed that anyone who learned of it would spread it and make the villagers anxious. The third Hokage lit his pipe and gazed out his window, saying, "Make sure that the guards keep quiet and move Mizuki to an isolated area and make sure he doesn't get any visitors until we can figure out these bizarre circumstances of event that's taking place." All of the Anbu responded simultaneously, "Yes, Lord Hokage," and left. Naruto, you are in grave danger. Do not pursue Orochimaru at all costs. He is the most heinous criminal the Leaf Village has ever produced. The third Hokage lowered his head in shame, feeling as though he had let Naruto down. You have your own path to follow and it's not with him. As Naruto waited at the Wall of Serenity, eager to meet Orochimaru and learn even more powerful jutsu to become stronger, all he could think about was how everything was going according to plan. After 8 long and exhausting months of training, he was now a true ninja in body and spirit, but not on paper. It was almost midnight, and since Kabuto was nowhere to be found, Naruto started to feel a little restless for being confined for so long. Well, it appears that you were here for an hour waiting because you were so eager to meet Orochimaru, Kabuto said as he casually stepped out into the gap. You watched me while you kept me waiting. Where is Orochimaru, Kabuto, and what kind of games are you playing? How in the world did you recover from a broken set of bones so quickly? Even though I told Orochimaru about you and he is interested in your skills, you still need to show him that you are worthy before you can meet the master. I heal quickly. He wants to know where your loyalty is and who told you about him, to make sure you're not just another ninja who doesn't deserve his time. He wants to see your abilities for himself. Kabuto gave Naruto a pass to enter the Steel and Death tournament, which he wants him to enter without any restrictions and with the sole requirement that he survive. I heard about that, but I assumed it was just hearsay, a rumor that was circulated throughout the village to give people something to talk about. Ninjas are said to die in this tournament. Naruto stared at Kabuto, wondering if he truly knew Orochimaru. This is the only way to speak with Orochimaru. It's not hearsay. Just arrive on time, and don't worry about the admission fee. That has already been covered. If you win, the money is yours and you meet my master, but if you lose, you will never seek Orochimaru out again, understand? That wasn't our agreement, Kabuto, but all right, I'll compete in this tournament. How long must I practice before it begins? Naruto uttered those words as his temper flared. As Kabuto began to leave the blonde, he said, well, I will say about 19 hours, but I would use about 6 of them to relax. What the devil is this? What on earth are you attempting to do to Kabuto? I promise that the next time, I'll do more than just break your ankle and wrist. If this is a setup, I'll cause you so much suffering that you'll beg me to kill you. As he withdrew his kunai, Naruto said. Since Kabuto believed the young ninja in front of him was nothing more than dirt, he didn't care about the threat. Kabuto gave Naruto a menacing smile, letting him know that it was knowledge, not threats, that made ninjas fearful. Anyway, you will go by the name Saddler. It's foreign, so it will not blow your cover at the Sand Village Mikado Tae Shin. Even though it was a false name, if he got that far and knew where he lived, he could dig much deeper, and who knows what he would come up with. Naruto could not believe it. Kabuto had planned this for a meeting 2 weeks away so he could get information on him to use at his pleasure. As Naruto watched Kabuto leave, he realized that he would be a major problem later. Knowing that most of the competitors were ninjas hoping for a large payout and some assassins hoping to gain notoriety, Naruto was a little anxious about the tournament as he headed home and immediately fell asleep. Knowing that he had his work cut out for him in tonight's fights, Naruto knew he couldn't do anything physically demanding when he woke up in the morning. He began to glance around to see if anyone was observing him as he practiced lightly. He said, "Great, now I'm becoming paranoid," as he kept searching for anything unusual. He entered his house, ate a light breakfast, and then, looking around, he saw the picture of the old couple who had helped him and paid the price with their lives. He felt bad about it, but then he realized that it was the ninjas' fault. They could have easily disarmed them, but they wanted to kill someone, so they used that attack as an excuse. Naruto chose to shape his chakra so that it would be more perfect, and then he practiced some basic ninjutsu to help him get ready for the battle of his life. As time passed, Kabuto came over and grinned at Naruto as he waited for him to take him to the tournament by the Wall of Serenity. All set, Saddler? As they strolled alongside one another, Kabuto said, "Destroy all your opponents and don't get yourself killed." That was Naruto's current alias for this tournament, and he had nearly forgotten. "How far must we travel to reach that location?" questioned Naruto. Kabuto pointed to the stadium and said, "It's a 10-minute walk. You will be fighting at the abandoned Coliseum downhill from here." "Wait, you don't want the village's sand ninjas and unwanted attention out here? Will they attempt to raid this location and capture individuals? Naruto said as he abruptly stopped. Mikado, you'd better wise up because you're such a naive youngster. All hands have been paid, and neither the sand ninjas nor the officials will meddle. You only need to focus on the match and not anything else. Kabuto slashed his gaze at Naruto. The crowd was so loud that Naruto could not even hear Kabuto speaking to him, and the matches had not yet begun, so he was shocked to see how many people had come to see a death match. Naruto swiftly ducked his head to the ground so that no one could see his face. Wait, I need a mask. Some of these people could be from the village I live in. If they recognize me, my cover is blown. Kabuto then handed Naruto a light blue mask with black imprints on it, saying, I have you covered already, take this mask and put it on. This will cover half your face so no one will be able to recognize you. Naruto thought that this would be ideal for him as he put on the mask because it would allow him to breathe and see clearly. Remember, this is a gauntlet match, so pace yourself well. There is no coming back the next day, and continue where you left off. As Kabuto walked away, all of the fighters looked at Naruto, who was short, wearing a ridiculous looking mask, and dressed in orange and black. Although he was muscular, he was not built like the rest of his opponents, and they all giggled as the contestants took their places on the sidelines. When the tournament started, a man named Gravin faced a woman named Sung in the opening match. When the referee yelled, "Start," they bowed to each other and rushed at each other with such fierce intent to kill that most spectators turned their heads away. When it appeared that Gravin was about to win, Sung made a hand sign that sent a stream of needles into his body, leaving him open to attack. Sung then rushed Gravin with a kick to the head that made the bone snap in his neck, and the entire stadium went wild, cheering her for killing him. As he stood there and watched the body laid out, a few men arrived to retrieve the combatant, and Naruto realized that there were at least 6 ninjas, possibly on Chunin levels, as well as 3 very skilled assassins who were no pushovers and knew a little bit of ninjutsu. As the tournament's competitors dwindled down, Naruto left the bench and entered the field, and everyone in the stadium burst out laughing at the thought of a child competing in this tournament, placing bets that he would be killed in 3 moves or less. The stadium fell silent as they called for the other combatant, Fujisawa, to enter the field. He was last year's runner-up, who lost only because he was unable to continue after 20 minutes of torture by his opponent. Fujisawa said coldly, "Don't worry you little shit, I'll make it real quick where you won't feel that much pain when I snap your neck." "Funny, you big piece of shit, I was about to say the same thing to you," with a raised middle finger, Naruto said. After hearing what Naruto had to say, the other fighters on the bench, as well as those in the stadium's front row, wondered if he was crazy for rattling someone like him. As the referee looked at both warriors, he yelled, "Fight!" Quickly Fujisawa rushed Naruto, trying to land a heavy blow to end things. Naruto easily evaded the blow and smacked Fujisawa on the side of the face with an open-handed smack. Fujisawa looked at Naruto and rushed with a kick to Naruto's head. Naruto dodged again and backhand slapped him to the face this time. Fujisawa's anger rose as he pulled out a small sword. As he swung the sword, showing he had a great skill using the blade, Naruto just stood there waiting for him to attack. As he rushed Naruto, he could not understand how Naruto could dodge a blade so close. He could literally feel Naruto's breath and could not strike Naruto at all. Naruto stopped and looked at Fujisawa. As Naruto rushed Fujisawa, he struck Fujisawa's throat, making him gasp for air. Naruto grabbed Fujisawa by the wrist and flipped him down on his back. Naruto quickly grabbed his opponent's blade and pierced Fujisawa through his hands. Fujisawa yelled "Yield" as loud as he could because he did not want to die. As Naruto rose up, the crowd was silent. They could not believe that Fujisawa, last year's runner-up, was defeated in 4 moves. All who placed their bets lost everything, even the bookies. Kabuto smiled at Naruto to say job well done. As Naruto returned to the bench, all combatants' eyes were on him. As the remaining warriors were reduced in number, Naruto only had to fight once because his opponent had given up before they even got to their feet. Naruto had assumed it would be against Sung, but she was almost slashed to pieces by Shendo the Headhunter, an S-rank criminal who, according to rumors, was very good at many jutsu and had a nasty habit of taking people's skulls and using them as trophies. Sung thought she could take him down and use the bounty on his head with the prize money, but he was too much for her, so the officials had 9 security personnel leap in order to prevent him from doing it again. "Don't risk your life for a contest. He isn't your typical kid." Sung seized Naruto's wrist and uttered, "He's on another level, and he is a cold-blooded killer that wants his prey to suffer." As he made his way to the middle of the ring, Naruto said, "I'm far from normal either. Let's see who's better, and let's see if he's on my level." When Sung looked at Naruto, she had never seen such confidence in someone so young. He was the epitome of bravery and fully believed in himself. Good luck, kid. I'm going to watch your match from the sidelines as they patch me up. When Naruto was summoned to the ring, he stared into Shendo's eyes and saw the hatred there. The Kyuubi could sense the sinister thrill of defeating a fellow demon. Shendo burst out laughing as they both bowed. I can feel your hatred, but it doesn't help me. Mine is stronger. He waved his blade menacingly and said, I'm going to collect your head. It will be my most prized collection, the head of an idiot child who challenged a demon. Naruto simply grinned as the referee yelled, fight, as he glanced at both of them. Shendo swung his blade at Naruto's head, and he barely had time to duck before Shendo rushed him and punched him so forcefully that blood flew from his mouth. When he saw that sword coming down to cleave him in half, Naruto immediately backed up and flipped out of harm's way. His desire for blood is already sharply growing. In fact, he is becoming stronger and faster. The Kyuubi felt the evil feelings emanating from Shendo and said, you better do something quick, young cub. When Shendo rushed in again, he gave Naruto another blow to his jaw and a kick to his chest. Naruto paused and thought of a strategy to slow this madman down, but when he turned around, he saw that Shendo had thrown the sword and that it was headed straight for his head like a boomerang. Naruto managed to roll away from being decapitated, but it cut him across the back. He used the Sarutobi shadow dance and caught Shendo's arm, striking at Shendo's rib. Then he realized that Shendo was wearing light body armor, but how was he moving so quickly? Naruto kicked a stone and hit Shendo in the leg. When he heard a cling sound, he realized that Shendo was completely covered in body armor. As he advised Naruto on how to defeat his adversary, the Kyuubi said, I think you better use your ace in the hole. So that's it, that body armor is what's keeping you from harm, but I got something just for that. Shadow Clone Jutsu, yelled Naruto as he turned to face Shendo. Shendo could not believe how many clones surrounded him, about 60, because it was unheard of for a ninja to create that many without running out of chakra. Shendo swiftly grabbed his sword and began hacking away at all the clones, leaving a cloud of smoke in the air. My sword will meet 1,000 clones, no matter how many you create. What are you going to do now, boy? I already cut those clones of yours in half. Shendo, in a state of ecstasy from hacking away the clones, yelled. As he attempted to hack each clone, Naruto gestured for them to encircle Shendo. The clones managed to avoid his sword and clung to Shendo's body, clinging to his life. Is that all? Are they only going to keep me? I believed you were a stronger fighter than that, and I could easily break free of their hold and use my sword to slowly kill you. He began to laugh menacingly at Naruto, saying, I'm going to enjoy peeling the skin of your frail little body. No, I win, you lost. Naruto grinned at Shendo. Eruption of Shadow Clone. Naruto shouted as loudly as he could. The stadium erupted as if there was electricity in every seat as the crowd saw Shendo lying in a huge crater with both of his legs gone and an arm missing, as a series of exploding clones detonated all over his body, causing him to fall down from multiple injuries. Soon grinned and gave him the thumbs up as Naruto made his way back to the bench, and Kabuto swiftly gestured for him to leave the Colosseum. Meet us by the Wall of Serenity in an hour. Kabuto vanished, blending in with the throng. The official arrived, gave Naruto his winnings, and shook his hand as Naruto nodded. That monster was just a psychopath who came in with the intention of killing for fun, and I'm so happy you won. I'm hoping you'll enter next year. You can only get stronger because you're still so young, the official said with a smile and another congrats. Naruto could still hear the fans' excitement about the match as he left the Colosseum, and he waited for Kabuto to complete his half of the bargain as he made his way to his meeting spot. Naruto waited for Orochimaru patiently while everyone else left. Nice fight, Mikado. I knew you could pull it off, Kabuto said, threateningly, as he walked up to him. What happened to Orochimaru? Leaning against the wall, Naruto said. Kabuto grinned at Naruto to inform him that he was in command, saying, I'm sorry he couldn't make it, but I will tell him you won the match with flying colors. Liar. Then who's hiding in that tree and hearing what we have to say? As he stepped off the wall, Naruto said. Oh, what a fascinating young man he is. The voice from the tree said, how long have you known I was there? It's really impressive to catch me while I'm using my stealth jutsu. As he watched Orochimaru phase through the tree like a ghost, Naruto remarked, you've been here for 20 minutes and only moved twice. With a broad smile, Orochimaru walked up to Naruto and said, there's no need for this charade anymore. Why do you want to find me? Asked Orochimaru. Who introduced me to you? I come to learn all of your jutsu so that I can implement my plan. I don't know the name of the ninja who casually mentioned you to me. said Naruto, not wanting to reveal who he was to them both. Orochimaru walks in a circle around Naruto, assessing his build and composure because he knows that Naruto will become a formidable ninja. Come now Naruto Uzumaki, you can tell me it was Mizuki. If we are to train together as master and disciple, we shouldn't keep secrets from each other. How he could have known about him astounded Naruto. Don't be shocked. I'm from Leaf Village. You performed my old sensei's stance, the Sarutobi Shadow Dance, flawlessly, I must say. How long did it take you to learn about Shadow Clone Explosion? Naruto said, remaining composed and calm about the situation. Less than 1 week. Really? You are genuinely unique. Orochimaru pressed his finger against Naruto's arm muscle and said, I wonder if it has something to do with the Kyuubi inside you. He has dark black eyes and black hair, so this can't be the child. The hair on his arms and eyebrows is not blonde, and he isn't using any dye. Because he believed the child before him wasn't Naruto, he yelled at Kabuto. I think the Kyuubi may have been involved, don't you think, Naruto? Orochimaru couldn't contain his excitement at what had just fallen into his hands. Show me how you did it. Naruto's hair and facial features returned to their original appearance as he gazed at them both. Orochimaru glanced at Naruto while he laughed. After a year of training, you will go off and learn new jutsu techniques on your own for 4 months before coming back to me. In return for my assistance in making you stronger, I am creating a future plan and would appreciate your assistance, with the exception of my offer to ask no questions. Naruto Uzumaki, do you agree with my terms? Orochimaru said, extending his hand. As he struck a bargain with the devil, Naruto said, agreed. Naruto knew that his plans went far beyond a straightforward agreement with Orochimaru and that it would be broken if necessary as he set out with Kabuto and Orochimaru. Naruto had had a long and demanding year. To get there, he had almost killed himself with training. As part of his workout, Kabuto made Naruto follow a rigorous diet and training schedule. Naruto's body underwent significant changes. He gained 4 inches of height, became more muscular, and had hair that now hung down to the middle of his back. Naruto's skills and abilities so impressed Kabuto and Orochimaru that he became a vital part of their future plans. Orochimaru had pitted Naruto against some of the most heinous and vicious mercenaries and ninjas, but none of them could match his fighting prowess and tenacity. Orochimaru was aware that Naruto, along with Kabuto, would be his most valuable weapon when facing the Akatsuki. After they jointly destroyed the Leaf Village, he would eventually tell Naruto about the group that would be pursuing him, even though he had never told him before. Kabuto had witnessed Naruto's growth in all of his jutsu, but his conceit and hatred only increased with each day. Although Kabuto was the only ninja Naruto could spar with without holding back, Kabuto was aware that no other ninja could match Naruto's strength and the Kyuubi's power. As Tayuya watched Naruto raise the barbells over his head and back to his chest, she thought, so this is Orochimaru's number 2 guy now? I can't believe he chose him over one of us. He doesn't even have the curse seal, so maybe Orochimaru don't trust him or he's just a weak ninja. Saken stood up in Naruto's face and said, yeah, you don't look so tough. You still have milk on your breath. I bet if you and I would have a little match I would kick your ass all over the place. Yeah, show me these skills that Orochimaru think in time you will be famous for. Naruto simply grinned evilly and ignored them. Come on, or are you terrified of all 4 of us standing here? You're just a snot-nosed kid who Orochimaru is taking on a charity case. After hurling the barbell onto Kidomaru's foot, Naruto swiftly struck Tayuya in the middle of her abdomen and delivered a precise uppercut to her face, causing her to stoop to receive the blow to her stomach. He snatched Saken's hair and hurled him against the wall, knocking out 3 of his teeth in the process. Naruto swiftly dodged Kidomaru's webs and hit him with his Adam's apple. After being struck in the Adam's apple, Kidomaru retreated and swiftly created a spear from his web in his mouth. With the spear he had made to impale Naruto for hitting him and his teammates, he hurried over to him. Naruto countered every move he made by drawing his kunai. You won't be able to hurt me, boy. I coated my body with my webs and you can't penetrate it with a mere kunai. Kidomaru fell to both knees, bleeding heavily from his chest, as Naruto slashed his body with his kunai, channeling some of the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto grabbed Kidomaru's hair and pulled it back, revealing his throat. Orochimaru caught his hand as he came down with a forward thrust. Now Naruto-kun, what did I tell you? I don't want any blood splattered in my home. You made your point, now let him live. Good ninjas are hard to find and I don't feel like looking for a replacement so soon. When Orochimaru let go of Naruto's. As Tayuya continued to curse at Naruto, Kabuto helped her up and said, you bastard, I'm a woman. What the fuck, man? You split my lip in 2. broke my nose, and damn near made me throw up my own stomach from that punch. We were just having a little fun with you, no need to be all serious." Without another word, Naruto left, picked up the barbell, and resumed his workout. Orochimaru and his two trusted allies were left behind as the Strange Five, as Naruto called them, got up off the ground. As Orochimaru and Kabuto approached Naruto, they could see that his sole motivation was to train for strength and that he wasn't in the mood to converse. Orochimaru smiled at Naruto, saying, "Naruto-kun, it's time for you to go on a journey to learn new jutsu from other masters and lands. When you return, I will have big plans for your future." Naruto continued working out while utterly ignoring the two, saying, "I will fulfill my end of the agreement and I will come back here in 4 months' time, but my future is different from your plans. Why, you arrogant little gnat, how dare you be so rude to your master? Show some respect or I will cut out your tongue and hand it to Orochimaru personally," as Kabuto approached Naruto. Orochimaru extended his arm to halt Kabuto's progress toward Naruto, saying, "Calm down, Kabuto. Naruto, bring back new jutsus and make your master proud. I have one question. This Rasengan, it's so powerful that I believe no man can stand against it. I need to learn it. If I can learn this, I can modify it to be the perfect offensive weapon ever made." He was staring at his hand. "I told you to forget about that jutsu. There have only been 2 alive that actually completed that jutsu and many have failed in disgrace on trying to complete it. Now I need you to take these papers and identification. You will need them when you go to other villages. Read them and make sure you know all the false information on it," as Orochimaru handed the papers to Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise as he read the papers. "What the hell is this? You have me listed as a Konoha ninja and as a genin. I went to the academy with some students there and the teachers, they will never believe that someone with a new name could slip past their attention," said Naruto in a fit of rage. "Don't worry, you're part of the Leaf from the other academy located in the south of the Fire Country. It only produce about 5 genin every 3 years or so and the trainer is on my payroll. He gave you a background story and false missions just like Kabuto. All you have to do is use this information and you will be fine. Make sure you use the Konoha headband all the time in the villages." When Orochimaru and Kabuto left, the Kyuubi attempted to enhance Naruto's skills in comparison to Orochimaru, saying, "This could be a good thing, Cub. We will have access to get into the Leaf Village without being suspected of anything. We have improved so much over the last year that I know that Orochimaru can't defeat us." "I'm not so sure, and when are you going to stop calling me Cub?" As the Kyuubi howled in Naruto's head, he said, "When you live to be 200 years old." In preparation for a 4-month quest to learn more jutsu, Naruto packed all of his essentials. He was thrilled to find formidable opponents to try his skills against rather than sad to leave Orochimaru's lair. Naruto wondered about Hinata's appearance as he began his lengthy walk, as they were both approaching their 15th birthdays. Naruto couldn't figure out why he was thinking about her. Perhaps it was the papers that mentioned Konoha that brought back memories of her. He made an effort not to think about it, but the more he insisted on not thinking about it, the more he did. He even asked himself if they would still be friends if he had stayed. In an attempt to forget about her, he at last began training. Returning to the Konoha, "Well, Hinata, we finally are able to apply for Chunin status. Aren't you proud? I mean, we had a rough mission in the Land of Waves, but we survived and people were talking about it," said Sakura with a grin on her face. Hinata attempted to rush away from her friend, saying, "I'm proud, but in these Chunin exams we will face other ninjas that are good, if not better, so we have to practice. We have to think like Chunins or else we will fail. Cheer up, we will do great. I seen how you and Sasuke defeated that Haku on the bridge. He surrounded you two in ice and you use your Byakugan to help defeat him." Sakura was just grinning. Hinata began to leave Sakura again after she blocked her path, saying, "Thank you, Sakura, but I must be off. I need to look into something if you don't mind." Sakura continued to question Hinata about giving up her life for a dead boy no one cared about, saying, "You know you won't find anything new? Naruto is gone. You need to move on. It's not fair you look for him and give up on your social life. There are plenty of young ninjas that are interested in you, but you won't give them a chance to get to know you." After giving Sakura a smile, Hinata turned to leave, her chest aching from the remark. Hinata searched for any information about ninjas that fit Naruto's description as she made her way to the Public Ninja Mission Request Office to review the forms and reports submitted by the Konoha ninjas. She heard someone behind her as she organized all the files. As his smile soothed her aching heart, he said, "Relax, it's just an old Hokage checking to see how you're doing. Do you mind if I join you?" She grinned and met his kind eyes, saying, "No, I don't mind." As the Hokage and Hinata examined all the data on the desk, he said, "I see you're still looking, that's good. May I ask why do you care so much for this young man? He's been gone almost 2 years, and he'll be 14 soon, almost 15, just like you. B. Because if it was me and I was missing, I know that he wouldn't give up on me. I feel deep down in my heart that he is alive. I just can't explain it to you. Her gaze darted downward. He got up and walked out of the room, leaving the young heiress to think for herself. I understand. Continue your investigation. I hope you see some results. After reading roughly 10 files while searching through the papers, Hinata discovered something intriguing. In an underground competition, an assassin was vanquished. Shindo, the assassin, was vanquished using the Shadow Clone Jutsu technique and the Shadow Clone explosion. Saddler was the name of the person who beat him. He fought Shindo using a lot of Konoha techniques. We questioned Shindo, who has lost both legs and an arm as a result of his attacker attacks. We couldn't find any reliable leads as to where this Saddler might be, but it's possible that someone is selling Konoha's secrets. The boy in question is around 12 or 13 years old, has dark eyes and black hair, and is mostly hidden by a mask. Given that he defeated an S-class criminal, this young man should be regarded as extremely dangerous. Knowing it was Naruto, Hinata got to her feet. She recalled that Mizuki claimed to have learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu and that Naruto had previously been reported to be in the Sand Country. She was relieved that Naruto might still be alive for the first time in almost 2 years. She would now practice at home and search for more details the following week. It's been a month. Naruto made the decision to take a brief break at a bathhouse while he was traveling from village to village fighting for money and picking up new jutsu from different masters. He was having so much fun that he was unable to think about anything else as he lay there. Getting dressed and getting ready to leave, he started to leave. In order to reach his hotel more quickly, he made the decision to go the back way. He noticed a tall, muscular man in his 50s gazing at the women in the bathhouse as he rounded the corner. Naruto walked up to him to remove the pervert, saying, "Hey you pervert, what the hell are you doing? Get away from there, you depraved freak." As he continued to spy on the women in the bathhouse, the long-haired pervert said, "I'm doing my research, so keep it down, Junior. I'm a writer and you're really starting to cause too much noise, and causing unwanted attention is very bad for disrupting my creative thinking. Whatever, I know a freak when I see one, and believe me, you're a freak in every way and form." Naruto was prepared to attack and eliminate the elderly goat. The long-haired man gestured for Naruto to look around as he walked up to the perverted older man. About 20 women brandishing brooms and sticks were observing Naruto as he did. Naruto attempted to clarify that it was all a misunderstanding and that he was attempting to prevent the elderly pervert from peeping as they swung at him. Even though he had the potential to harm the women, the villagers would have attacked him for it, and it appeared that he was spying on the elderly man. With a hand gesture, the elderly pervert said, "Get him, ladies. One so young shouldn't be as perverted as him. Give him a couple of blows for me." A toad then materialized. The summoning toad threw him to safety as he hopped on its back. Naruto decided to leave the village after that strange incident, so he quickly dodged all the sticks and brooms and ran after the pervert, but he was unable to catch up. Other travelers warned him of the dangers posed by bandits as he set out on the road. Naruto was looking forward to a little action because he needed the workout and didn't care. Naruto pondered the identity of the pervert at the bathhouse as he gazed up at the night sky. In the morning, he planned to move on to the next village, letting it go. About 26 signatures of evil chakra that he felt through the ground woke him up while he was still half asleep. Naruto was eager to use the new jutsu he had learned from the thieves as he dashed to the chakra signatures at full speed. When he got closer, he noticed an elderly man encircled by bandits. Naruto made the decision to help the elderly man by eliminating all of the bandits. He glared at the bandits as he approached them, driving them away. Naruto, who appeared prepared to destroy in an instant, said, "Well, it seems that you cowards want to rob and kill this old man, but it won't happen when I'm here, so either run or feel my power." "You tell them, Squirt, show them your stuff," the elderly man said, choosing to sit on the ground in an Indian fashion while observing the young man in action. Naruto's eyes almost burst out of his head as he turned to see what kind of old man had said such a thing. As Naruto recalled what had happened in the village, his voice grew louder. "The old pervert from the bathhouse. What the hell are you doing here? I should kick the shit out of you myself," he exclaimed. He yawned and gestured to his enemies, alerting him to their impending attack. "I would focus on the matter at hand. They seem to really be pissed off and want to put you in the grave for interfering in their business. This should be interesting. I haven't seen one of my countrymen from the village in years. Don't disappoint me, Squirt, show them the power of Konoha's youth," the old pervert said. "Wait, you're from the Konoha too? Hey you old pervert, just what did you do to piss off all these bandits, and why the hell should I take care of your dirty work?" You probably spied on one of their wives. That's probably the reason they want to beat the shit out of you. Naruto would have preferred that the bandits kill the elderly homosexual. But after his big speech about feeling powerful and running away, the bandits were no longer going to listen to him. The pervert drank some sake and took out a jug of wine to watch the fight. "Eyes front, you idiot. Here they come," he exclaimed. Many of the bandits were disarmed in a matter of seconds by Naruto's lightning-fast attacks. Naruto saw how skilled and well organized these bandits were. He saw that 2 of them would attack with swords, while the other 2 would attack without weapons in an attempt to seize him. Although he couldn't pinpoint it, the elderly pervert saw that Naruto was well trained and that there was something very familiar about him. The old pervert thought of the 4th Hokage when he saw the boy's speed and tenacity. He was not sure why, but it seemed to him that the youngster was a perfect replica of Minato's abilities and willpower. They appeared to be pushing themselves to eliminate Naruto entirely as he continued to fight, eventually defeating 13 bandits. Naruto glanced at an elderly pervert who was sitting and drinking as he vanquished the remaining bandits. "If I weren't so exhausted right now, I would put my foot up your ass. Why, you old decrepit perverted freak, how dare you just sit there and watch me and take care of your dirty work, and even more, how could you blame me for your voyeurism in the village?" As Naruto's ire began to grow, the old pervert simply sat there, grinned, and repeatedly told him to stop talking. With a spiral whirlwind in his hand, the old pervert leapt to his feet as Naruto blinked, striking the bandit behind him. Against the rocks, the bandit spun around. Naruto turned to face the elderly pervert. As the elderly man stood there grinning, Naruto said, "Show me that jutsu again." A wind-containing chakra began to swirl and spin in the palm of the old pervert's hands as he helped them out. Only 2 people he knew were capable of using that jutsu, and one of them was dead, so Naruto gaped in wonder. "My name is Jiraiya and this technique is called the..." Naruto finished Rasengan, and gazed at him admiringly. Jiraiya wondered how a Chunin could be aware of this technique as she observed Naruto. "So you know this technique? Well, I see you're very skilled, but then again, we Konoha ninjas are the most talented when it comes to the ways of the shinobi." Jiraiya was beaming at Naruto. Naruto gazed at the bandit smashed against the rocks and said, "Can you teach me that jutsu? I heard about how powerful it was, but I had no idea it holds magnitude of power in one hand." As Naruto gathered his belongings to depart, Jiraiya said, "I don't think so. This is for Junin of the Leaf. You just what a Chunin?" When Naruto told the elderly pervert, he became extremely embarrassed. "I'm a genin." "No way can a genin move the way you do. So if you're going to lie about your status, you can get to walking. I got better things to do than be lied to." Reaching into his backpack, Naruto gave Jiraiya his fictitious documents. Jiraiya began to laugh as he studied the documents. "So this is why you're so good and can't make Chunin. This part of the Fire Country doesn't need ninjas all like that. You're mostly used for border patrol and security. What is it 3 genins down there now?" asked Jiraiya as he started laughing. Naruto said, 5 now. He was extremely embarrassed to be viewed as less than a ninja. Jiraiya started packing his bags and preparing to leave the outlaws when he said, "Tell you what, travel with me for a while, and I will consider training you to do the Rasengan. It's the least I could do for you taking out these bandits." Naruto considered training with this elderly pervert and picking up some tips from him. Naruto nodded, saying, "Okay." As he looked at him doubtfully, as though he weren't Jiraiya the Toad Mountain sage, Naruto asked, "Question? How did an old pervert like you manage to perform the Rasengan? I mean, you don't act like a ninja should. You're perverted, a drinker, and the way you carry yourself, I would also say you're very whorish with women. I'm one of the 3 legendary Sennin of the Leaf. My name brings fear in the strongest ninja. My skills make mountains crumble like paper and women faint at the sight of my greatness. I am the Sage Mountain Toad." Jiraiya bowed down to my awesomeness, as he demonstrated his toned muscles. Was this, indeed, the 4th Hokage's sensei and Orochimaru's rival? Naruto could not believe it. He had always imagined himself to be a little different from the man in front of him. Naruto began to rub the back of his head and asked, "All right, pervy sage, just where are we supposed to be heading to?" When Jiraiya heard that name, she scowled, but they nevertheless began to move away from the bandits strewn about bodies in search of a safer location. "So your name is Mikado Tae Shin. Funny you don't fit that name at all. It seems you should have been named something else." Naruto's destiny was once again on the verge of altering as the 2 strolled through the night. After 3 months, Naruto realized that training with Jiraiya was not the same as training with Orochimaru. Jiraiya was more patient than Orochimaru ever was and pushed Naruto to the limit. Naruto was regarded by Jiraiya as one of the best students he had ever taught. He was astounded by how quickly Naruto picked up jutsu. He saw that Naruto was almost finished with the Rasengan, having worked on it day and night. Naruto saw that Jiraiya had very little room for vulnerability as they continued to spar. Instead of fighting a man, it was more like fighting a well-organized oil machine. Jiraiya believed that Naruto was more of a Chunin than a Chunin. Jiraiya went to retrieve some food from his backpack and said, "Let's take a break and have a little chat while we have something to eat." Naruto tossed him a towel to wipe away his perspiration and said, "You're getting old, pervy sage. We only been at it for 20 minutes and you're out of breath and want to eat?" "Of course I'm old. Where do you get that stamina of yours? It's impressive as hell." As he dried himself off, "Mikado, I want to talk to you about your anger. I don't know why you have so much anger in you, but you must let it go. You're one hell of a ninja, but I think you should try to look at the world in a different light. Is there anyone that you care about that you want to protect?" Jiraiya asked with empathy. "I have no one, no parents, no friends, and definitely no girlfriend. I have always been an outcast, alone and treated very badly. Why should it stop now? I did care for 4 people, but one betrayed me. I can never forgive him for that. I trusted him more than anyone, and that hurt more than anything in my life, hearing him say those spiteful words about me," said Naruto as he expressed genuine sympathy for the first time in more than 2 years. As Jiraiya left, eating an apple, he wanted his protege to consider how to manage his anger. "Well, you're strong now and you can make new friends and you can protect your village. You can become an inspiration to others just like you. Become a better man than a ninja. With that you can't go wrong. Just think about it, that's all I'm asking." Naruto realized it was time to leave Jiraiya because, although his hatred was less intense than it was when he was with Orochimaru, Orochimaru intensified it. Jiraiya genuinely likes Naruto, and their conversation seemed to be similar to that of a grandfather speaking to his grandson, making Naruto feel like more than just a tool of hatred. Everything Naruto had planned was impacted by Jiraiya's presence, and if he remained with his mentor, it would not be carried out. He left Jiraiya a note stating that they would get together again and that he would bring the Rasengan. He was aware that he needed to become proficient in the Rasengan in order to reach the underground hideout, and that he only had 4 weeks to get back to Orochimaru. Even though Jiraiya was older, Naruto still saw him as more than just a friend, which made him smile sincere smiles as he packed his bags and felt hurt for simply up and going. Jiraiya discovered a note lying near the campsite as he was searching for Mikado. A frown appeared on his face as he read the letter. Jiraiya didn't know why he felt this way about a child he had just met, but he knew this child had a lot of potential to improve the future. "Kid, you're a great ninja at such an early age, but your hatred will consume you if you don't fight it. I have faith that you'll overcome anything you set your mind to it." Sasuke was extremely hesitant to accept that Naruto was the saddler she kept mentioning when they spoke about the information she had discovered about him. Like the rest of the village, Sasuke was aware that Naruto was dead, but he also knew that she had trained hard for his sake in the hopes of one day helping to bring him back. She pleaded with Sasuke to at least glance at the details and look past what he had read. He did not promise to look for a deceased person, but he did promise to review the file. She became aware that she was being followed as she went to speak with Shikamaru. "Show yourself," she exclaimed, trying to sound as courageous as possible. They blocked her path, giving the impression that they were the Anbu. The Anbu wearing the wolf mask walked up to Hinata and asked, "You didn't tell anyone about Orochimaru, did you?" "No," she said, turning to face him. "You're making our job very difficult when you do your independent investigation on Naruto. If he was alive and with Orochimaru, you could put his life in danger. There could be spies or someone who's helping you who could accidentally leak the wrong information out. We talked to the Hokage and we will give you limited information. If we come across someone fitting his description, we will immediately contact you. This we promise." The Anbu wearing a hawk mask gazed at Hinata. Hinata stood her ground, stuttering the entire time, and said, "One question, this saddler that was using Konoha's secrets was about 12 or 13 years old. You should find him and you might find Orochimaru and Naruto. This saddler only appeared once, and he hasn't been spotted since the competition concluded. It can't be Naruto because he was described as a dark-haired boy wearing a mask. He might be dead, but only you and the Hokage believe it. I know you don't want to hear this. I vowed to do everything in my power to bring Naruto home to you, but the more I look, the less proof I find that he is still alive." The man in the wolf mask signaled for us to depart, but we'll keep you informed of our progress. She was standing in the center of the road when she noticed Shikamaru coming, and as he got closer, he could see how genuinely upset Hinata was. "What is wrong?" Hinata.san. When Shikamaru saw the hurt expression on her face, he was at a loss for words and asked, "Naruto, Tell me the truth. Do you really think he's dead? She turned away from Shikamaru. To be honest, the answer is no. He is too obstinate and will stop at nothing to survive, so don't worry or cry over this. Even though he is one of the strongest survivors, Naruto will always be Naruto. He embraced Hinata to allay her anxieties. Her new motivation was to become a Chunin no matter what was thrown at her, and as they left together, she made the decision that once she became a Chunin, she would have more access to many more files and be able to leave the village a little more freely to look for Naruto. It's been 4 weeks. Despite practicing the Rasengan throughout his trip, Naruto was still a little disappointed that he hadn't mastered it when he arrived at Orochimaru's lair. As he got closer to the new hiding place, he noticed Orochimaru approaching to greet him. Did you acquire any new jutsu techniques to hone your abilities, Naruto-kun? I have some mercs, assassins, and rogue ninjas to greet you when you return home, and I can't wait to see how much you've really improved. Orochimaru was very excited to see his second-in-command defy the overwhelming odds he had stacked against him, and he gestured for Naruto to follow him. Following Orochimaru, Naruto was shocked to learn that he had not even entered the room before having to engage in combat for Orochimaru's amusement. At least 25 of the most intimidating-looking warriors he had ever seen surrounded him as he entered the training hall. They were not like any bandits or ordinary wannabe badass. These fighters were the real thing. Orochimaru cleared his throat and started talking as he entered the center of the training room. Whoever can defeat this ninja will be the next to be my side, and those who fail are damned. I salute you as warriors now make me proud. As Orochimaru fled, Naruto prepared for his enemies' attacks as they surrounded him. Naruto used all of his abilities to dodge and counter every move that was thrown at him as they swiftly attacked him with everything they had. Naruto was aware that he would die if the fight went on for longer than 6 minutes. After drawing 2 kunais, Naruto quickly collided with his attackers, severely wounding them. Only 6 of them were eliminated before the others began to employ their ninjutsu techniques. He watched as numerous forms of water and fire jutsu approached him. He could feel his weariness beginning to set in as he ducked around them. He swiftly created roughly 50 shadow clones and used them to assault his adversaries. As they all looked, they were astounded that he had formed so many without getting tired. Orochimaru watched avariciously for more mayhem from his number 2 as he grinned at the result. A whirl of wind shot through Naruto's jutsu as he swiftly made a hand sign. The wind made deep, sword-like cuts in their flesh, and the enemies watched in horror as it struck their fellow teammates. Naruto seized one of the clones and turned it into a gigantic shuriken as the others retreated. While shouting, "Kage Bunshin Shurikens," and hurling the shuriken at his opponents, Naruto's giant blade suddenly multiplied by 1,000 and struck down the remaining Orochimaru's henchmen, leaving the arena in a bloody mess. When Kabuto, the Sound 4, and Kimimaro witnessed Naruto's amazing jutsu performance, they were all astounded by his display. Tayuya looked at Naruto and said, "We better really watch what we say to this guy or he will kill us without a second thought. Shit, he's gotten a hell of a lot more powerful and meaner in his 4 months away. Hell, if wasn't such a maniac, he would be one fucking hottie." Orochimaru grinned at his potential, saying, "Bravo, bravo. I knew you wouldn't let me down in any way. Naruto-kun, you outdid yourself. Tell me when you learned your wind element and who showed you." Lying, Naruto claimed to have learned it from a village he had visited. "Follow me, we have much to discuss per our agreement." They looked at him with jealousy as he walked side by side with their god of ninjutsu, and Naruto wondered what exactly his sensei had in mind as he followed him. He never knew of any of his sensei's plans because he was always kept in the dark. Naruto always wondered about the 5 that followed his sensei as if he were a god. They always gave him the creeps, especially the guy with the 4 arms, who Naruto had always found to be the most unsettling sight ever. "Naruto-kun, I need you to go back to Leaf Village with Kabuto and take the Chunin exams. There, you will learn about the weaknesses of the village's exits and all of the Chunin. When we attack the Leaf Village, my Sound Ninjas and the Sand Ninjas will accompany you," said Orochimaru. "What? Do you want me to become a Sound Ninja and go back to the village?" With his back to the wall, Naruto uttered those words. Orochimaru grinned at his number 2 and said, "Correction, I want you to return as a Leaf Village shinobi for the Chunin exams." "Are you serious? The Kyuubi is unable to alter my facial features. He can only alter my eyes and hair color. I will still be surrounded by all of my enemies, but people can still recognize me and they are not fools. You didn't mention demolishing the Leaf Village when you promised to train me. I intend to destroy the Leaf Village myself, and I want to do it myself," Naruto screamed as he stepped away from the wall. You ruined the leaf on your own. You're good, but do you believe that at this point in time, you can actually defeat the third Hokage? You are aware that he is regarded as a ninja genius? He can simply kill you. He didn't become the Hokage by winning a popularity contest. Although you are excellent, he is superior and will quickly take your life. I now need you to keep your word and help me destroy our cherished village together. We might have to kill Orochimaru, damn him. He's getting in the way of our bigger plans. We are the real pillar of power in the ninja world, and even though he is old and weak, he cannot defeat us. The Kyuubi in Naruto's mindscape yelled. Orochimaru, the fact is that I will be recognized. I have only been gone over 2 years, not 20. They won't recognize you because you're taller, have a more muscular face, and no longer have the whisker marks. Remember that everyone thinks you're dead, so all you need to do is change some of your childhood habits and keep your long, spiky black hair pulled down over your brow. Being a spy and being able to blend in like a chameleon are two aspects of being a ninja, and I want to see if you can actually pull it off. In addition, I need you to assess Sasuke Uchiha's Sharingan development. He will become my most valuable asset. I want you to ensure that he doesn't kill himself. Kabuto will help you with this. You have 2 days to get to the Leaf Village, so I advise you to pack your bags and do something with your hair. Anger. Filled and prepared to attack anyone who stood in his way, Naruto left. He gave Kabuto a chilling look with his piercing eyes after bumping into him with his shoulder on his way out. Kabuto glanced at Orochimaru as he entered. I'm guessing the way he looked and acting that things didn't go as the way he planned for himself. Do you really think that Naruto is that skilled to go back as a Leaf Village ninja and complete his duties as you told him? I mean, he's skilled no doubt, but this is something for a skilled spy. Naruto is my number 2, you're my number 1. The 3 of us will be able to destroy the Akatsuki with the help of Sasuke's body. When I consume his body and his Sharingan, we will be unstoppable. Not even the other 4 cages could stand against us, said Orochimaru as he looked at Kabuto in the eyes. Kabuto knew that Naruto's strength would be a great asset to their cause. What about Pain? Don't forget about Madara and Itachi Uchiha. They will definitely be a threat. If they knew what you were up to, they would probably send the rest of Akatsuki to deal with you, especially hiding the Jinchuriki and training him to be your perfect weapon. Orochimaru grinned, knowing that everything was going as planned and that the world would soon be his. Naruto and Sasuke are the key to my power and fulfillment of ultimate jutsus. I will never part from my path of great divinity given to me by this world as the god of ninjutsu. Approaching the dark-haired warrior with a perverted smile, Tayuya said, Yo Naruto, did Orochimaru tell you of his plans? We're going to burn the Leaf Village down. This is what you wanted. The other members of the group simply sighed at her flirtatious demeanor after glancing at her. She had this eerie feeling of desire for Naruto ever since he had fought her and shown her no mercy. Naruto was about to leave when Kimimaro blocked his path with his arm. Yeah, he told me, and I think it sucks. I want to destroy the leaf with these 2 hands. Naruto held them up to his allies. I don't want to be some mindless minion that just helped with its destruction while Orochimaru gets all the credit and the villagers won't even know I was there. As Kimimaro gazed at Naruto with hatred in his eyes, he said, You're Orochimaru's servant just as we all are. His dreams are your dreams. His will is your will, do you understand that? It seems that you assholes just can't stop getting in my way. If you hadn't noticed, I never believed in his dreams or followed him around like a little lost puppy. He and I had a deal and I'm honoring it, so if you don't like the way I'm acting, then you can kiss my ass. Orochimaru isn't my god and I don't worship him the way you all do. Now back off, sick boy, before I get pissed off and stomp a mud hole in your ass and walk it dry. Naruto left the room with a serious scowl on visage. Kidomaru glanced at Naruto as he passed all 5, saying, Wow. He backed off Kimimaro with just a few words. I didn't think it was possible he put fear into Kimimaro's heart. As Jirobo watched the so-called demon of the leaf leave, he said, Man, that kid fears no one and he's only getting stronger as the days go by. I feel sorrow for the villagers of the Leaf Village. He's not going to let anyone live. It's funny that the people in his village turned him from a loving child into a monster, something his parents wanted him to defend, and now the Leaf Village has to deal with what they made. Kabuto reviewed the final details of their mission with Naruto as they made their way toward the Konoha gates. Naruto, we are not to engage the 3 sand ninjas known as Gaara, Temari and Kankuro in combat. Even though they're our allies, avoid them, especially Gaara. He's a monster inside and out that does nothing but kill. Kabuto continued to walk with Naruto. Naruto looked at Kabuto and said, Inside and out? Wait, Gaara is a Jinchuriki like me? Yes, and he can't control his demon as good as you can. Once you get on his radar, he will target you for annihilation to satisfy his bloodlust for his demon's thirst. We have information on him. He may be on your level, but we're not for sure about the intelligence gathered. It's like a year old, so he may be better or on the same level. As Kabuto continued to tell Naruto about Gaara's the Sand siblings. Naruto only cared that Gaara was entering the village to assist in its destruction. He didn't really care about Gaara or his skills. Kabuto pondered what was wrong with Naruto as he came to a complete stop just a short distance from the gates. I said when I returned that people would know exactly who I was. The villagers would see me as their judgment day for what they've done to a small child. People would be in awe of all my abilities and power. I would show them the power of an Uzumaki. But instead, no one will even know who I am when I enter this village. I don't even look like the Naruto who left. I have black hair that covers my face completely, eye color that isn't mine. Everything is false about me, even my name. As Naruto kept looking down. Kabuto was aware that Naruto would find this difficult, primarily because he was more determined than Orochimaru to destroy the Leaf Village. He was still in disbelief that Naruto had changed so much from when he had first met him 2 years prior as he kept staring at him. He had midnight eyes, black hair that hid his brow, and an all-black outfit. He didn't resemble the blonde he had met more than 2 years prior. Kabuto lifted his head to gaze at Naruto and saw that Naruto had returned to having ocean blue eyes. As they got closer to the gate, Naruto grew stern and said, "Let something be real about me as I enter my old village." Knowing that Naruto wanted to see their devastation at his hands with his own eyes, Kabuto simply grinned. They were instructed to go to the hotel where the event would be held after providing the gatekeepers with their identification to gain entry. Nothing had changed as Naruto looked around. He assumed that the people were happier because they believed he was dead. As he continued to put pressure on Naruto to fulfill his leadership duties, Kabuto said, "Naruto, when we get to the hotel, I need you to meet your squad. They're skilled but too eager to please Orochimaru. Make sure that they don't do anything stupid to jeopardize the mission, or you may have to kill them." Shikamaru ran straight into Naruto as they were walking. Naruto bowed to Shikamaru after giving him a direct glance. Naruto said, "Sorry." Shikamaru simply stared at the dark-haired boy for a minute before saying, "No, it's my fault. Are you a candidate for the Chunin exams? Sorry, have we met before? You must be from the Southern Academy. Good luck, and I apologize for hitting you in that manner." Shikamaru hurried out of Naruto's way. As he watched Shikamaru walk away, Naruto waited to see if he would turn around to see if he recognized him. Since he didn't, Naruto reasoned that if he could fool a classmate he considered a friend, then he could fool anyone. As they got closer to the hotel and entered, Kabuto noticed that Naruto's squad was playing with their swords by the front desk, looking bored. Kabuto went to get the keys, and Naruto's squad went to their assigned room for a debriefing. When Naruto instructed them to present themselves, they appeared haughty in every way. The tall girl continued to look at Naruto disrespectfully, but with a hint of lust in her eyes, saying, "I'm Kree. I'm 15 and a genjutsu specialist and a weapons expert." With a bored expression, he said, "I'm Kazuki. I'm 14 and the medical ninja on this team." Before the test even started, Naruto already knew that these two were likely to meet his kunai. Kree was a tall girl for her age, with red hair, a short haircut, and piercing green eyes. She believed in her abilities, but Naruto could tell by her attitude that she was overconfident. Kazuki, on the other hand, had yellow cat eyes, a long ponytail that reached the back of his neck, white hair, and what appeared to be short fangs. Naruto explained everything that needed to be done for tomorrow, and as night fell, he instructed his team to go to bed early because they had a big day the following day. The morning after, as Naruto walked with his new squad, he could tell they were going to cause trouble because they all didn't know how to work together. They all wanted to be solitary ninjas and leave the others as soon as possible. Naruto knew that he needed them for cover, and they needed him for cover as well, so he told them to follow his instructions and they would work as a team. They nodded in agreement, and then he saw 4 ninjas arguing, 2 Konoha ninjas and 2 sand ninjas. It appeared that the Konoha ninjas were protecting 3 young children. He knew all 4 of them. The sand ninjas were Temari and Kankuro, while the Konoha ninjas were Hinata and Sakura. As Naruto stared at Hinata without blinking, he heard someone talking. Naruto is nudged on the side by Kree, who says, "Take a picture, it'll last longer." When someone threw a rock and struck Kankuro's hand to free the young boy, Naruto snapped out of his reverie of Hinata, who had transformed into a stunning young woman. As he looked where the rock had come from, he saw Sasuke Uchiha at the top of the tree, attempting to appear cool and heroic. Naruto gritted his teeth and said, "Jerk still hasn't changed after 2 years, trying to get even more fangirls and admirers for his ego." As the situation seemed to be about to get out of hand, Naruto noticed an evil chakra that worried him. Suddenly, a red-headed ninja in a sand uniform appeared next to Sasuke. Naruto recognized the boy and realized that it was Gaara. Knowing that he had a bloodlust and that he had to make sure he didn't kill Sasuke, Naruto noticed that Gaara's evil intentions were raising his Jinchuriki chakra, which made him question whether he should step in. Gaara and his sibling turned around and departed. Sasuke, you just put yourself and your team in harm's way. You are now being hunted by a killing machine. Naruto was thinking to himself. Naruto told his squad to follow Sasuke and his squad to see if Gaara would attack them before they get to the very first Chunin exam trial. As they reached the first test exams, Naruto saw some Chunin and Junin using genjutsu on all of the genins. As Sasuke and his squad approached, they said something to the Chunin and walked on by. Naruto noticed that a strange-looking genin with bushy brow and bowl cut was following Sasuke's squad. As he caught up, it looked like he was challenging Sasuke to a match. Naruto thought that was stupid. They only had less than 15 minutes to get to the exam and that he was challenging the #1 rookie of the year. Naruto knew that Sasuke would tear Bushy Brow a new butthole, so he decided to give his assessment on Sasuke's abilities against this opponent. As Sasuke rushed his opponent, Bushy Brow easily evaded and kicked Sasuke. Naruto noticed the young ninja was super fast and strong. As Sasuke attacked again, he could not touch his opponent. The Bushy Brow ninja completely overwhelmed Sasuke just by using taijutsu. As Bushy Brow kicked Sasuke in the air and followed him, Naruto noticed it was the end of Sasuke as Bushy Brow's arm wrappings coiled around Sasuke like a python. Then out of nowhere a kunai saved Sasuke from a humiliating defeat. Naruto noticed it was a summoning turtle that appeared and was talking, and then an even stranger looking ninja than Bushy Brow appeared. He seemed to be the sensei of Bushy Brow. As Hinata and Sakura helped Sasuke to his feet, Naruto told his squad to leave and head to the first exam. Orochimaru really wants that person. A ninja who appeared to have a hairy caterpillar on his forehead just handed him his ass, man. Kree said, starting to laugh. Naruto had to agree, but he still walked to the exam entrance, and as they entered, he was amazed at how many people were taking the Chunin exam. He knew that last year's exam had been postponed because of a problem the Konoha had, but he had no idea that there would be this many genins. Naruto knew that it would be hard to get to Sasuke now because everyone would want to try their skills against Uchiha, and he would be constantly on guard. When Naruto saw Kabuto, he went to talk to him about the situation. Kabuto thought the same thing, too many ninjas, and as they started to speak quietly among themselves, Kabuto pointed out that Sasuke had entered and was with the other Konoha rookies. When Kabuto asked Naruto to walk over to the area with the other Konoha ninjas, he was hesitant because he was a classmate of all of them. As he and Kabuto walked over, Kabuto introduced them to the rookies. This is Mikado Tae Shin, and I'm Kabuto. We're from the Southern Academy. Kabuto grinned at the other genins. As he told them how impressed he was with them and that Mikado was taking the Chunin for the first time and would likely make Chunin, Kabuto pulled out a deck of cards that displayed everyone's skill in genjutsu, taijutsu, and ninjutsu. As Naruto stopped paying attention to Kabuto, he turned to face Hinata, who was shocked that someone like her had once called him a friend. When Hinata felt a gaze on her, she caught a glimpse of his blue eyes and stopped to stare back. "Pardon me," she said, "but are we acquainted?" She tried to get a clear look at his eyes and said, "I have the weirdest feeling that I know you." Naruto, who appeared too afraid to say anything more to Hinata, said, "I came to this village many times before to run errands on some D-rank missions. You may have met me then." As Hinata kept her gaze fixed on the dark-haired genin, the other genin turned to watch the two of them, paying particular attention to Naruto, who was practically twitching with anxiety in Hinata's presence. "You two fell in love at first sight?" Sakura smiled and pushed Hinata toward Naruto, attempting to establish a romantic bond between them. The fact that Kabuto had to interrupt by disparaging the Sound Village in order to divert attention from Naruto made both Naruto and Hinata blush. The Sound ninjas overheard the remarks and immediately attacked Kabuto, who was about to attack when Kabuto glanced back to say no. Kabuto took the blows and fell to the ground, pretending to be hurt. Ibiki entered the room and confronted the Sound ninjas, warning them that they would be disqualified from the Chunin exam if they attacked again. Naruto assumed the first exam would be a skills test rather than a written one, and when he was assigned to sit next to Hinata, they both appeared anxious and blushed at each other. Ibiki explained that cheating more than 3 times would never make you a Chunin, and as he came up with even more bizarre rules, the entire class sat up and protested against such ridiculous rules being thrown at them. Naruto knew this test was too difficult, and he had spent years preparing himself to be better than a Chunin. As he began writing down the answers, he glanced at Hinata, who was staring at him. "Who are you? Have we previously met? What gives me the impression that I know? Why do you refuse to meet my eyes?" She continued to stare at Naruto, causing him to perspire. "You must keep quiet and pass the tests because the Chunin examiners will deduct points for cheating the more you talk, and I have never met you before." The Chunin were awarding points for cheating, and Naruto saw this. Ibiki continued to invent new rules to make the genin anxious and forfeit as the test came to an end. He noticed that nobody else was moving. Everyone in the room passed, he declared. He clarified to everyone that a successful mission with minimal casualty risk could result from the right type of enemy intelligence. That clarified the cheating to ensure your proficiency in reconnaissance. As most of the genin passed the test, a frenzied Junin rushed through the window, looking at all the genin with disgust and declaring that the Forest of Death would be the next test. Sakura stopped Naruto as he was leaving the exam and asked him a flurry of questions about Hinata's potential suitor. Sakura simply stared at the dark-haired ninja in front of her. "What's up with you and Hinata? I see you can't take your eyes off her for 1 minute, and I noticed the same with her. Do you think she's pretty? Maybe you should get to know her better." As she asked one question after another, Naruto recalled how cruel the girl with the pink hair in front of him was to him, and how he had once harbored feelings for her. He believed she would be the first to feel the tip of his kunai. He recalled her verbal abuse and the fact that she frequently aimed her fist at his jaw. He pondered what it would take to get rid of this obnoxious shinobi as he gazed at her. "Nothing, I noticed that she was a Hyuga and I'm interested in her gentle fist technique, nothing more. Now get the hell away from me before I put you in a coma, you loudmouth banshee," as he left her irritated. Sakura began to curse and call Naruto a cocky, greasy-headed idiot as Sasuke walked up to her. With such speed that no one could see it approaching, Naruto withdrew his kunai and hurled it straight at Sakura's head. He managed to cut a tiny portion of her hair off the sides as she looked horrified and her hair fell to the ground. Most ninjas watched Sakura to make sure she was okay, but they were also impressed by how precisely the ninja cut off a small portion of her hair. That even made 10.10 take notice of his abilities. As Naruto's team hurriedly began to walk alongside their leader, they glanced at Sasuke and Sakura, who started to laugh at what Naruto had done. Know your enemy weakness, know his strength, but most important, know who he is before insulting him, you pink-haired clown. Sasuke swiftly assumed a taijutsu stance to confront Naruto. "Hey you jerk, was that necessary on throwing a kunai at her head? Just who the hell are you to throw a kunai at a fellow Konoha ninja?" he asked. Naruto's gaze unnerved every genin in the room, including Sasuke. "She's annoying and I did not like being questioned even by a fellow Konoha ninja. She should show some respect if she wants to be recognized as a ninja. And I suggest Uchiha you refrain from your fighting stance if you don't want to get hurt. I'm someone you don't want to fight." When Naruto heard Hinata's voice, he turned around and asked, "Why did you do this to Sakura? Chan? How could you be this mean to someone who did nothing to you? I would never be friends with someone like you, and you're right. I don't know you." As she attended to her friend's needs and observed Sakura's hair, Hinata said. Her words felt like a knife to the heart, and Naruto was hurt. Though he had been emotionless for all these years except for retaliation, he wanted to apologize to Hinata for doing something so foolish rather than simply leaving Sakura. As his squad joined him on his journey, he stopped completely and turned to face Hinata. Naruto stammered and bowed to Hinata, saying, "Page P. Please F. Forgive me, I was wrong. I'm sorry for what I did to your friend." Hinata could not identify this ninja for anything. One moment he had the intent to kill an entire village, and the next he was like a man of peace when she was around him. His squad stared at him in confusion, and Sasuke glanced at Naruto and nodded to say that there would be repercussions if it happened again. "That shinobi looks like a really good one, but he seems to have a thing for the girl with the dark hair over there. I was really hoping that he would be able to defeat Sasuke Uchiha. Oh well, we'll see his full potential when we arrive in the Forest of Death," Kankuro said as he watched Naruto leave. Naruto left his group, telling them he would see them later. On his way to the village's rural area, Naruto believed he heard the Kyuubi talking to him. "Hey, kid, tell me why you're behaving this way around that woman with the dark hair. With a simple wave of your hand, you could have easily brushed off all those unimportant insects. Then you allow the woman with the dark hair to make you uncomfortable with her remarks. Prove to her that you are the dominant male in her pathetic village. Kill her if you can, and rip her heart out." Naruto yelled, "Shut the hell up talking like that about me killing her," with such rage that the Kyuubi began to observe Naruto's feelings. To keep Naruto focused on his mission, the Kyuubi said, "You want to mate with that dark-haired female real badly, don't you, cub? Hurry up and mate with her and have some man cubs with her so we can start our plans on destroying this village. Kyuubi sensed Naruto's sexual desire and embarrassment at the thought of Hinata because he blushed so much. As it became extremely awkward to discuss dating with his host and then have sex, Naruto said, "It's not that simple, you have to ask her out and then have her father's permission. You have to go out on dates and eat then talk to get to know each other, which can take a while. What, just to have sex? You humans are so complex about little things such as mating. I have mated with the two-tailed monster cat 130 years ago before I was held prisoner by my human captor, and it was simple as breathing," said the Kyuubi while experiencing all of Naruto's wants. As Naruto had a gruesome vision of a fox humping a cat doggy style, he thought, wait, a fox mated with a cat? In this world that's just not possible. We're spirits you only see in outside form. Our spirits connect on a whole different level and then we mate. Doesn't your human spirit connect with your companion spirit before you mate? Asked the Kyuubi. Naruto was clueless about women and undoubtedly inexperienced with the other sex, so he was unsure of what to believe. As he left the country and returned to his hotel, he assured the Kyuubi that he would focus on the task at hand and put dating Hinata out of his mind. While he was strolling, the Kyuubi persisted in urging Naruto to simply have sex so that he could gain mental clarity. Then, like the other humans in the wild, Naruto could mate roughly every 10 years. As the Kyuubi pondered what he had said was so funny, Naruto burst out laughing. As he tried to clear his mind, images of Hinata's face kept entering his mind. He was unable to explain why, but seeing her face somehow gave him comfort. Naruto looked everywhere for Hinata to warn her to be wary of the sand ninjas as they got closer to the Forest of Death's gates. When Naruto spotted Sakura while searching for her, he decided to simply follow her to Hinata. Sakura went up to Sasuke and Hinata as they were ready to pass through the gate. Naruto glanced straight at Hinata as he approached the trio. Sakura said, "Well, I guess he's here to apologize to you again for throwing that kunai at my head?" Her eyes were filled with fury, giving Naruto the appearance of being ready to kill the blonde. Despite his hatred for Sakura, Naruto looked at her and apologized to her in front of Hinata and Sasuke in order to please Hinata. Sakura gave Hinata a look and shook her head, indicating that she was unable to comprehend him or his intentions. Even though he was staring at Sasuke, his mind was focused on Hinata. "I have to tell your team something very important and I hope you heed my warning. The sand ninjas, don't approach them, especially the red-headed ninja named Gaara. He's extremely dangerous, Hinata. You cannot reason with him. He is a killing machine who has no remorse or empathy for what he has done. Run away from them and keep running if they come your way," Naruto said, making sure Hinata could not see all of his eyes while gazing directly into them. As Hinata continued to stare at Naruto, Sasuke broke the silence, preventing her from seeing his eyes because of his hair. "Why provide this information to us?" Sasuke paused in the middle of his sentence and turned to face Hinata. He knew that this information was for Hinata's safety rather than Sakura and his own. "What do you know about the sand ninjas anyway, and why would you go through all the trouble of warning Pai? Be careful out there. There are too many skilled ninjas, and since you're the last Uchiha, they all want to challenge you." As he left the three, he said, "Your teammates will be a part of your problem. They will go after your squad to get to you." Sasuke looked at Hinata and questioned why Mikado, Naruto, would be interested in a Hyuga failure. "Man, he has it so bad for you, Hinata, and he don't even know it. That's just so sad on his part." As Sakura watched Mikado, Naruto make his way to his squad, he said, "Yeah, I wished someone would go through the effort for me like that, someone who adores me from head to toe." As Hinata blushed deeply, she was unable to comprehend why he was actually making all of this effort to warn her. Initially, she thought that perhaps he felt bad about hurling the kunai at her friend's head, but then again, he might have harbored feelings for her, as Hinata continued to consider Mikado's intentions. As the three of them entered the gates, they looked out at the vast forest in front of them, Sakura observing all of the ninjas as they fled in all directions. Sasuke instructed them to follow him into the center of the forest, where there were numerous hiding places to gain an advantage over inexperienced ninjas. "Why did it take you so long to bring Naruto back?" Kree appeared poised to attack him for being late. "You don't know who can hear you, so don't call me Mikado Tae Shin." Naruto's rage reached a record-breaking peak. "It's likely that he was making out with that Hyuga girl, which is why he took so long. Did you feel anything from your hot, pale-eyed throb?" Kazuki burst out laughing. Naruto moved so fast that neither Kazuki nor Kree saw any movement from him. As Naruto wrapped his kunai around Kazuki's throat, he asked him to repeat himself. Kazuki felt so much fear from Naruto's kunai he thought he would literally piss on himself. As Naruto let him go, Kazuki figured he would keep all his smart remarks to himself for now on. As they headed out into the forest, Naruto thought the best place would be a little bit past the middle of the forest. As they continued to their destination, Naruto knew that they would have to stay hidden on the second day. As they got to their destination, they started to set up traps around the camp. As Kree looked at Naruto, she told him that they needed to get the Heaven Scroll to complete the set. As Naruto agreed, they came up with a plan. Kree thought they should at least take 3 scrolls from other shinobis to cut down the genin numbers even more. As they came to an agreement on the plan, they would search for the weaker ninjas and take their scrolls and provisions to last longer in the forest. As they left their campsite to find weak ninjas, they searched for about an hour and came to an open site with ninjas in plain view. They hid high in the trees and listened to what their prey had to say as Naruto and his group began stalking them. When he realized that they were not actually moving and were remaining in the open for everyone to see, it finally dawned on him. "It is a trap," Naruto shouted to his fellows. Then, as they descended, Naruto saw that they were Konoha ninjas, all of whom appeared to be very skilled. He recognized 2 of them, one of whom was Kiba, and the other was Shino, a bug handler. He did not know the other, but he reminded him of Sasuke for some reason, except that he appeared to have never seen the sun in his life. Suddenly, large leech-like creatures began to descend from the top of the tree and attempted to drain their blood. Naruto used his wind jutsu to cut the leeches in half, saving him and his squad. "Well, aren't they unique for avoiding our traps in that way?" As he produced a few kunais, Kiba grinned at Naruto and his group and said, "Well, let's just kick the shit out of them and get one step closer to getting our Chunin's vest." Well, if the Chunin exam isn't being taken this year by a member of the Inuzuka clan. Kazuki, drawing his sword to match Kiba's kunais, said, "To think your clan is also considered the company founders of the Konoha, it shows how poorly they chose back in the day. You're the best they have to offer, then your clan is really going downhill mighty fast. If you're the best they have, we don't have to worry about a thing." "Oh, I see. You belong to the Vieira Felity clan, which was forced to relocate to the southern Konoha after losing to our clan. They lost to my clan because they are similar to mine, but they use cats rather than dogs and are only skilled at stealth and reconnaissance, not fighting." Kiba continued, gloating as he went through Konoha's brief history lesson. "So, will we quarrel or will Konoha's past bore us to death?" Kree yawned from the back. And fourth banter between the 2 ninjas who looked like ferals. Naruto turned to face Shino and readied himself for combat, saying, "Kree, you take on the living vampire over there. Kazuki, you take on Dog Boy, and I'll handle the Flea Boy over there." "A Flea Boy?" Kree asked, glancing at Naruto. "Indeed, he belongs to the Aburame clan, who completely cover themselves to maintain a body temperature of 102 degrees in order to sustain and provide comfort for their Kakaichu insects. They wear dark glasses because their eyes are extremely light sensitive. They are Konohagakure nobles, but because most other clans think they are creepy, they are very antisocial and tend to stick to their own clan." Naruto's familiarity with the clans and jutsu of Konoha continued to impress Kree. Using his little sword, Kazuki attacked Kiba as he assumed his stance, kicking him in the stomach and forcing him to stand up to catch his breath. Kiba grinned and tried to throw Kazuki off balance with his incredible speed, but Kazuki was just as quick as Kiba. Seeing that he would require assistance, Kiba whistled, and suddenly a tiny white puppy charged at Kazuki. Kazuki became confused by the puppy blows and understood that it was a strategy in case someone happened to ambush the group. Kiba knew it was over as he grinned. As soon as Naruto realized Kazuki was in danger, he created a shadow clone to assist him. The fact that Naruto sent a clone to assist impressed Kazuki as he looked. Kazuki took a scroll from his backpack as he stood up and made a hand gesture to activate it. Kiba noticed a group of needles pointing directly at his chest as he battled the shadow clone. Kiba was hurt and immobile as the darts pierced both him and the shadow clone. "Those are tranquilizer darts I overdosed you on. You won't be able to move for at least a week. I wonder how long it'll take for your body to totally crash. I usually use these on large crowds, and FYI, one dart can paralyze for at least a couple of hours." As Kazuki started laughing at Kiba, the puppy charged at Kazuki while he was facing away, so Kazuki swiftly turned and stabbed the puppy in the neck with a dart. The puppy didn't move at all and hardly appeared to be breathing as it fell hard to the ground. "Akamaru!" exclaimed Kiba, who could only watch helplessly as his best friend was struck by the tranquilizer dart, knocked unconscious, and hit the ground hard. Kree pondered what kind of ninja the pallid young man was as she gazed at him. He just had a stupid-looking smile on his face and said nothing. He easily caught one of the kunais she hurled at him while avoiding the other. She managed to dodge the kunai he threw back at her, but she was caught off guard and he swiftly kicked her in the middle. He leaned down and punched her head as she lay on the ground, gasping for air and falling by his feet. He looked down and saw Kiba as he raised his blood-covered fist. He became aware that he was under a genjutsu and that breaking it would require assistance. He glanced over and saw her standing over him, but he wasn't positive it was her. He saw Shino running toward him as he got to his feet, promising to assist him. Shino hit the figure as he approached, knocking him out cold. The knockout blow was delivered by Kazuki, who was in a weakened state and assisting his teammate. "You two go get their provisions and don't interfere between the bug handler and me," shouted Naruto. They simply stared at Naruto, hoping he knew what he was doing, while following instructions. "Well, it's down to you and me, Fleaboy. Let's get started, shall we?" said Naruto. "Just give me the scroll and we will leave, otherwise I can just take the scroll from you and that will be so much painful for you. I'll take the other option and keep the scroll, and once I get rid of you I'll take care of your bumbling sidekicks as well." Shino let out a huge number of Kakaichu insects as they faced one another, and they charged after Naruto. Naruto swiftly retaliates by deflecting the insect's attack with his wind jutsu. Naruto could see that this bug handler was genuinely talented among his teammates as he went around Shino. With blind rage, Naruto drew his kunais and launched an attack on Shino, sending the bug prodigy reeling back from the pain of a kick to the head. Shino got back up and attempted to strike Naruto, but the bug handler couldn't keep up with his rapid movements. Naruto leapt back as Shino quickly surrounded himself with bugs, causing him to vanish. In an attempt to strike him, Naruto hurled the kunai at the horde of insects. Naruto pondered where the kunai had gone as he moved through the bugs, and it dawned on him, underground. Naruto searched for anything unusual as he leapt into the trees and hid. He noticed 3 kunais flying toward him with such speed that they nearly touched his chest as he glanced around at the spider dangling from a strand. Naruto had to devise a strategy to eliminate the bug handler while he was jumping from tree to tree. Naruto threw 3 kunais in a triangle onto the ground as he descended, then leapt in the center of it. Naruto had a thin, barely perceptible piece of wire attached to the kunais. He patiently awaited Shino's return to the spotlight. When Shino noticed the kunais on the ground, she questioned what the ninja was thinking. Shino decided it would be best to launch an attack with a swarm while remaining concealed in the earth. Using a secret string fastened to a paper bomb tag, Naruto swiftly drew the kunais from the ground and pointed them at the swarm as it darted out at him. The entire swarm was destroyed when the kunais struck it and exploded. Furious, Shino rushed out and punched Naruto in the head. When Shino turned around and saw Naruto fly down from a tree feet first into his chest, he realized it was a shadow clone. Naruto made a puffing sound and vanished. Naruto took the scroll from him as all the air left his body. He snatched up his kunai as soon as he heard rumbling in the bushes. When Kree and Kazuki emerged from the bush with their adversary's supplies, they were taken aback by Naruto's solo victory over the bug handler. She looked at Naruto differently and wondered if she should approach him to get his attention. "Wow, I heard that fighting a bug handler is the hardest thing a ninja can do by himself. Even Sharingan users have a hard time with these types. I'm totally impressed. Kabuto said you were way past gifted, but I didn't expect you to be this good." Naruto essentially disregarded everything Kree said when she asked, "Well, I got the scroll, did you take care of provisions?" Kree started to laugh as she repeatedly kicked Shino in the ribs, saying, "Yeah, we did. This group is actually pretty good, they should make Chunin in no time, but not this year." Kazuki took all of their supplies and rummaged through their enemies' pockets for his own purposes. Good they had the opposite scroll. "Let's split up and see if we can find someone who is alone and take their scroll. I'll take their provisions back to our camp." Naruto was somewhat relieved to have been paired with those two as they parted ways. He initially believed they would obstruct him, but they proved to be capable shinobi and voluntarily followed his instructions. Sakura and Hinata heard some ninjas fighting as they went to get some water. They thought they saw some sand ninjas arguing with some ninjas from the land of grass. Sakura and Hinata remained hidden while they awaited the conclusion of the dispute to determine who would prevail in combat. Upon observing Gaara, the 3 grass ninjas realized that he was most likely a pushover. Sakura and Hinata observed that the girl and the older genin were not attempting to defend the younger sand ninja in any way. Gaara threw an umbrella into the air as the elder grass ninja attacked him, and a hail of needles fell to the ground. The 2 young genin girls realized that Gaara was completely safe in the sand. Gaara surrounded the older genin with sand and crushed him to death as he gazed at him. That terrible sight almost made Sakura and Hinata scream in horror. They swiftly shouted that they were giving up and set the scroll down in front of him while the other two grass ninjas stared in horror. As the grass ninjas fled in the direction of Sakura and Hinata's hiding place, Gaara simply looked at them and declared his desire for their blood. One of the grass ninjas saw the girls and pleaded with them to assist him as the sand seized the two and dragged them to Gaara. Gaara crushed the ninjas as he drew them nearer to him, just like he did with the first one. Both of the girls jumped up and fled from the red-headed monster as soon as they saw this. When Gaara realized it was Sasuke's teammates, he immediately began to move in their direction as his siblings and brother followed closely behind. Sakura lashed out at the ground, saying, "I've never seen anything that horrible in my life." Mikado was right when he said that Gaara was a killing machine. I thought he was over-exaggerating when he said that he was dangerous. We have to stay away from him and move somewhere else just in case he comes this way, said Hinata as she went to assist Sakura. They informed Sasuke of their observations as they made their way back to camp, advising him to gather their belongings and relocate farther away from the murderer. Sasuke simply appeared unimpressed by what his teammates were telling him. "Don't worry, we're not like those grass ninjas, we're way better, plus I'm pretty sure we won't run into him since you said he took the scroll off the ninjas." As Sasuke went on to reassure the girls that they had nothing to be concerned about, his eyes widened like plates as he turned to face someone emerging from the bushes. In addition to being present, Gaara managed to deactivate every trap set up to enter their tiny camp. Sasuke dashed to confront Gaara. As they started to assume their fighting positions, Gaara's smile darkened even more. "So I finally get to face the famed last Uchiha. I can't wait for my mother to taste your blood." Sasuke sensed the young boy's murderous intent and asked, "What the hell are you talking about, mother's blood?" The Gaara siblings emerged from the bushes as they began to gaze at one another and get ready for combat. He snarled at Sasuke and said, "The last Uchiha is mine and mine's alone to kill," while glaring at his siblings. "Don't interfere with this battle or I will kill you all." Sakura and Hinata were too scared to move. They could tell he desired death, Sasuke Uchiha's death, by looking into his eyes. They accompanied Sasuke to confront the young demon in front of them after they had finally mustered up enough courage. With a more homicidal smile, Gaara said, "Do you really want them to die? This is our battle. Get rid of them before I torture them slowly and make you watch as I tear off every limb just for fun in front of you." You heard him. Get back, while we settle this man to man. He doesn't stand a chance against an elite Uchiha, Sasuke yelled. Sakura wished that Sasuke had simply fled. "He's not normal." You heard what Mikado said. "Flee if we come across him. We saw him kill without a second thought. I don't think all three of us can take him and you want to do it all by yourself," she said. Sasuke prepared to face Gaara as he ordered the two girls to retreat. Sasuke hurried Gaara with his kunai and then retreated to observe what was happening as the sand emerged from the gourd. The sand instantly stopped Sasuke's attack as he threw one of his kunai at him. Gaara simply scoffed at Sasuke's botched attempt. Sasuke swiftly used his Sharingan to aid him in combating this formidable foe. Sasuke kicked and punched Gaara as he hurried once more, but he was unable to get past his sand barriers. Gaara sent a sand arm to seize Sasuke, but he managed to escape capture because of his Sharingan. After every attack, Sasuke saw that Gaara was beginning to appear more maniacal. Gaara was still grinning madly at his victim when he said, "That's all you have, you're weak and pathetic, you deserve to die." Sasuke was unable to come up with a strategy to get past those defenses, and he was unaware that he was standing on a thin layer of sand. Gaara quickly turned on the sand as it encircled Sasuke's leg. Gaara flung Sasuke back and forth against the ground while he was in his grasp, nearly knocking him out. Hinata and Sakura fiercely attacked Gaara to prevent him from killing Sasuke just as he was about to crush him in his grasp. Sakura rolled at least 10 feet away from Gaara as he slapped her away. As Hinata valiantly fought to strike his chakra points, she activated her Byakugan. When Sasuke saw Hinata struggling to survive in Gaara's grasp, he was able to move a little. Unable to stand, he walked blearily toward them in a desperate attempt to save her. Gaara threw Hinata at Sasuke, knocking him back to the ground as soon as he noticed that he was beginning to regain consciousness. When Gaara seized Hinata again, she was hardly able to move. With a devilish laugh, Gaara held up the teenager in his sand and said, "You were told that you would die if you got involved. Say hello to my mother as your blood will suffice for now." Sakura knew what would happen when she woke up and saw Hinata hanging by the sand as it engulfed her friend. Sakura let out a loud cry for Gaara to refrain from doing it. When Gaara shouted, "Die," a shadowy figure quickly stopped the sand burial. Inexplicably, Hinata vanished entirely from the sand burial and was in Naruto's arm. As Naruto leapt alongside Sakura, a stunned Hinata gazed at him. "I told you to run if you see him and not engage him in a fight. Why was that? Why didn't you hear me out?" He looked at Hinata with concern on his face as he wiped the blood from her forehead and put his hands on her cheek, touching her with the utmost gentleness. Hinata gestured for him to approach while she gazed into his eyes, and as he did, she spoke in a voice that only he could hear. "Those eyes are the same as my friend's, and I can recognize them anywhere. They have the same strength and sadness as Naruto Uzumaki. His eyes are blue. How did you get them?" When she fainted. Someone in all of Konoha knew one thing about Naruto, and that was Hinata. She recognized his eyes. Sakura swiftly snatched Hinata from Naruto's arms and turned to face the dark-haired genin. Naruto felt a mixture of fear and joy when she said that. "Mikado, what did she tell you?" Sakura was looking at him intently. "Nothing, she's hurt and not making any sense." He handed Hinata to Sakura gently, relieved that Sakura could not hear what Hinata had said. "You were correct. He is an unbeatable killing machine. Please assist me in trying to save my friends before he murders my whole team." Sakura let out a hysterical cry. "Hey you little red-headed psychopath piece of shit, you could have killed anybody you wanted, but when it comes to Hinata, hands off," Naruto said, continuing to stare at Hinata in Sakura's arm. "Grab your teammates, I'll have to defeat him on my own. Make sure you take care of Hinata." "You asshole, you just became my prey. Nobody will hurt her while I'm around. Do you have that little prick? You wish to engage in combat over this trivial bit of scum? If you want to defeat me, you must first get rid of your stupid feelings for her. Otherwise, you will fall like the rest of my victims. I can feel your hatred, and it is equal to mine." "What shit? I don't care about anyone else in this village. I just want her safe, so I'm going to protect her. I have the strength and motivation to take you out because she's safe. It's time for someone to show you what real power is, so get ready, you bitch. It seems to me that you are torn between loving the girl and detesting everyone else. Allow me to demonstrate the strength of self-love." Gaara started the fight by releasing the sand from his gourd. Sakura saw how badly her teammates were hurt and, as Sasuke continued to scream at her, she finally ran for help as he crawled over to her and Hinata and told her to run and get help for Mikado. "I don't think you can defeat Gaara and survive, do you? It's the guy from the test with the kunai." As his interest in the battle between Gaara and Naruto grew, Kankuro said, "Tell you what, we won't even interfere with you and Gaara." When Naruto and Gaara faced each other, they locked eyes. Gaara threw sand at Naruto, who easily dodged his blows, and a couple of smoke bombs. As Gaara turned to look around and saw where his new target was, Naruto threw 2 kunais at him, which went straight by him. Gaara simply laughed, so Naruto pulled a wire attached to his kunais and aimed them at Gaara's head. The sand shield instantly stopped the attack. Naruto knew that attempting hand combat was suicide and that he would need to use extremely powerful attacks in his arsenal to defeat Gaara. "Are you already at a loss for ideas? For wasting my time, I'm going to make you watch as I cause that girl you want to protect a great deal to suffer as I suffocate her slowly by sending my sand down her throat and nose. You're more pitiful than that Uchiha lying beat up there." Gazing at Naruto, Gaara snarled. Naruto, who didn't want to reveal his full abilities to anyone just yet, saw Sakura flee, hoping that she might have met some of her fellow Konoha ninjas for assistance. Naruto was already worn out from his previous battle with Shino, and the sand demon was only making him feel worse. Naruto leapt down near Gaara and gave him another look. "You're either incredibly courageous or the biggest moron I've ever encountered. You are weak because you put yourself in danger to keep that girl and her friends safe." When the sand started to fly toward Naruto again, Naruto used his incredible speed to spin around the sand and actually punched him in the head, cracking his sand armor and knocking him down. As Gaara rolled back from the blow, he looked at Naruto and grinned. The sand siblings couldn't believe it. He hit Gaara so hard that he was able to crack his sand armor. Gaara got back up and sent his sand to rip Naruto to pieces, and as he dodged the sand, Naruto leapt into a tree and hid. Naruto then leapt right back down beside Gaara and swung at his head. The sand caught Naruto and surrounded him. "Now that you're dead, I knew you weren't as good as the Uchiha," Gaara exclaimed, laughing uncontrollably. Gaara turned to see Naruto grinning and was taken aback to see that Naruto was also laughing. "Laughing boy. Watch out for my darker side." Naruto grinned devilishly at the red head, which made him uneasy. There was a huge explosion that almost broke everyone's eardrum. Naruto used the shadow clone explosion on Gaara, and when Sasuke saw him fall again, he saw that he was still conscious but in excruciating pain. Gaara got up to find out where Naruto was, and as his siblings rushed to his aid, he yelled at them that he would kill them if they obstructed his prey because Naruto was his and his alone. Whoa, he's after me. I already disregarded a clear order on my first mission. But if I allow him to cause Hinata any harm, I'll be damned. As he gazed intensely at Gaara, Naruto thought, "Hey Gaara, let's finish this at another time. I hear reinforcement coming and you're hurt. Orochimaru plans must come first before my emotions for Hinata. I need to put an end to this before one of us dies. How many leaf ninjas do you think the three of you sand ninjas could defeat? Your village probably would prefer that you advance to the third round rather than being eliminated so quickly." As they got closer to Gaara, he swung and struck them both, knocking them several feet away. Temari and Kankuro knew that they needed to make it to the third exam in order to complete their mission. "I told you not to get involved in this." It was becoming increasingly clear that Gaara was a madman due to his bloodlust. "His demon is growing more and more bloodthirsty every second he waits for me to fight. I had no idea that this Jinchuriki possessed such strength." He showed no signs of stopping and was still prepared to fight after surviving an explosion. As he continued to look at Gaara, Naruto thought, "I hope Sakura did find help after all." Suddenly, sand encircled Naruto and began to crush him. Gaara simply grinned as he watched him struggle to free himself, and as he began to apply more pressure, his nose began to bleed. Naruto quickly waved his hand up to block the sand with a half-completed Rasengan to prevent him from being crushed to death, and as he dropped, he was shocked to see that a half-completed Rasengan was still strong enough to be used as a weapon. Naruto leapt to a tree and threw a kunai with his wind element attached, and it went straight into the top portion of Gaara's shoulder. When Gaara saw his blood, he screamed, and his sibling rushed to his aid. Sakura emerged from the bushes with 9 Konoha ninjas. Naruto pointed to the 3 sand ninjas and gave them a death glare. "We're done here, sand ninjas. If you don't leave now you will be eliminated in more ways than one." Temari knew that Konoha would be in serious trouble in this war if they had ninjas like him who were genins, and the 3 departed knowing that no one they knew could compete with Gaara on his level. Sakura could not believe it, this Mikado was actually able to stand toe-to-toe with that madman and help save her squad. Sasuke looked at Naruto and felt so ashamed that an outsider saved his squad, he wondered if he was truly weak. Sasuke thought he would needed better training fast to become the Avenger he so desired. As Naruto walked over to Hinata and the rest of her friends, Naruto looked to make sure she was conscious. As she looked at Naruto, she thanked him for saving her friends. As the rest of her friends left, she asked Naruto to stay for a while. As Naruto sat down beside her, she fell asleep lying next to him. Sakura came over and looked at her friends sleeping peacefully. As Naruto got up, he asked which scroll they had. Sakura said they needed the Heaven Scroll. Naruto reached in his backpack and gave her the Heaven Scroll and left the 2 of them so they could rest. As he looked back, he couldn't understand why he gave them the scroll. He definitely hated Sakura, and Sasuke was supposed to be a pawn in Orochimaru's personal little game. He started to think about what Gaara said. He was truly conflicted. His attachment for Hinata made him do things he would never do for anyone, but not having Hinata around him was like being in hell. Naruto knew that he had to get his emotions in check real soon or it could cost him his life. He simply handed you the Heaven Scroll without any explanation, holding the Heaven Scroll in his hand and checking to make sure it was authentic, Sasuke said. As she gazed at Hinata sleeping soundly, she said, "Well, I wouldn't say no reason. I think he has feeling for you know who." Naruto noticed a figure standing on a tree branch as he was about to return to his campsite. Naruto-kun. As he waited to speak with Naruto, the unsettling voice said. Looking at the grass ninja, Naruto said, "I see you're taking the Chunin exams again. Don't you think once was enough, Orochimaru, sensei?" "Oh, I realized I couldn't trick you, Naruto-kun. The Kyuubi can assist you in locating anyone who is feeling down. In any case, how is my future ship doing? Is he everything he ought to be? Is he as flawless as I'm hoping?" As he waited calmly for the response, Orochimaru said. "Orochimaru. Sensei, I don't think so. He lost twice after I spied on him, and I had to save him from that Jinchuriki Gaara who was going to bury him." Naruto looked directly into Orochimaru's eyes and said, "I think you need another host. He has skills, but it seems like he's afraid of getting hurt or something. Well, even if he fails, I can still use his Sharingan and gain more jutsu knowledge from his bloodline ability. I'll go test his skills tomorrow for myself. Thank you, my number 2. We'll proceed according to our plan, and we'll both destroy the leaf." Orochimaru grinned at his apprentice. Sakura and Sasuke were awakened by Hinata's constant proclamation of the name Naruto while she was sleeping next to them. How come she calls out Naruto's name after Mikado saves her life? She has been unable to accept Naruto's death for more than 2.5 years. She must mature and quit believing that he is still alive. Sasuke sat up and examined his bruises because Hinata's talking while she slept was keeping him awake. I find it incomprehensible that the last student in the class could never defeat that insane sand shinobi, but she calls out for Naruto as though he had already vanquished him. Sakura began to smile and said, "But Mikado did, and he did it with style that could put any ninja to shame. Hell, any ninja that could go toe-to-toe with that psycho is one hell of a ninja." Sakura turned to face Sasuke and said, "I'm sorry Sasuke. I didn't mean that you were less of a ninja." She attempted to console her crush by saying something that made her feel less depressed. Sakura was unnerved by the scowl on Sasuke's face, which made him feel as though his entire world was falling apart. How could a non-Uchiha ninja defeat an enemy he couldn't? He assumed that Gaara was exhausted after their fight, and that Mikado was fresh going into the fight, fighting a tired Gaara. That had to be the reason Mikado won. Little did he know that Naruto had already finished a fierce battle and was already past his breaking point when he noticed the killer intent coming from the Kyuubi's ability to sense negative emotions. Sasuke was extremely ashamed that he was unable to save his teammates as he turned to face them. He repeatedly recalled how Mikado, Naruto, saved them and vanquished that sand ninja Gaara using abilities far superior to his own. He pondered how one genin could be so strong at his age as he watched Sakura tend to Hinata's wounds. In terms of form and style, Sasuke already believed Mikado was on par with Kakashi. Sakura noticed that Sasuke was still upset about what had happened at the camp yesterday with Gaara as he approached him to see how his squad was doing. Sakura knew she needed to lift Sasuke's spirits. "Sasuke, don't beat yourself up about it, we're all fine and safe now. We know what to expect from that sand ninja. When we get back we'll tell Kakashi Sensei about Gaara's technique so he can train us for the next time." As Sakura attempted to make him feel better, that everything was okay. Sasuke's face was dejected as he said that Mikado didn't need any help fighting Gaara or assistance. Hell, he actually defeated him, something I couldn't do. Sakura rubbed her friend's back and tried to reassure him, saying, "Well, he's a different story. We don't know who trained him and how long he's been studying." He restrained himself from giving Sakura too much information by saying, "It doesn't matter, he's already had me beat by so much that I won't be able to make my ambition to kill." Sakura sat up straight to get his response to her barrage of questions. "You never said who you wanted to kill? Is your vengeance that strong to kill this person? Is that all you think about, Sasuke? Who is it you're trying to kill and what did he do to deserve death?" He stormed off in such rage that Sakura was actually frightened. "It's my business and not yours. When I kill him you will know, but for now just stay the hell away from me, Sakura," he said. After hearing a portion of the conversation, Hinata pondered whether or not to comfort her friend because Sakura was devastated by Sasuke's attitude. "Are you okay? You slept pretty well last night, dream of Mikado by chance?" Sakura asked, making kissing faces as she looked up at Hinata, avoiding her friend's pain by smiling at her. It wasn't every day that a man came and saved a damsel in distress, Hinata thought, blushing deeply. Sakura kept teasing her by making smooching noises, asking, "So was he the first guy to ever protect you from a big bully?" She looked at Sakura, blushing and stammering as she joined her index fingers, saying, "Well, actually he's the second man to come to my defense. The first one was Naruto Uzumaki." Sakura kept berating Naruto and praising Mikado without realizing they were the same person. "Naruto Uzumaki? Is that why you can't get him out of your mind? How can he compare to Mikado? Naruto isn't around and Mikado definitely got it so bad for you. Don't you think he deserves a chance to get to know you? He actually gave us a scroll to help us. He stayed with you until you fell asleep and left and didn't ask for anything in return. Now that's a real man." "You're wrong, Sakura. Naruto wasn't even a ninja and he stood up to 4 boys that were bullying me. He didn't hesitate 1 second to help me. He fought them hard and he didn't ask for praise or anything. He just wanted me safe, and I'll never forget his bravery from a 7-year-old, when Hinata recalled the event. Sakura went to retrieve provisions from their backpacks to prepare them a meal. "It's funny you got it bad for Naruto and Mikado has it bad for you. Too bad you can't combine the two?" she asked. When Sasuke returned to camp, he instructed everyone to spend the remainder of the day in hiding. On the 3rd day, they would travel to their destination and present their proctor with the Heaven and Earth scrolls. There are other sizable groups waiting for unskilled ninjas to steal other ninjas' scrolls, so perhaps we ought to ask for assistance. Sasuke interrupted Hinata and began to yell, "We don't require Mikado at all. He is not a better ninja than us, and he is a bother to our team. He's not on our team, and if he were, he would do as I say, like you two stupid jerks." After leaving his squad bewildered and injured, he picked up his backpack. Sasuke prayed to have more power and better skills to kill his older brother as he stood in the shade of the trees, thinking about how he had just yelled at his two teammates for no reason and could not think of a better reason than that he was genuinely envious of Mikado's abilities. "Can you match Itachi's skills? Do you possess his hateful eyes?" An odd voice that seemed to be coming from all over the forest said that. Sasuke pulled out a pair of shurikens and got ready to attack, but he was unable to determine the source of the voice. "You know Itachi, but how? Do you have the guts to show yourself now?" Sasuke looked around and roared. "You're brave, but is it commensurate with your ability? Show me your Uchiha bloodline's prowess," when the voice approached. Sasuke circled the tree to check for anyone lurking there as he searched for his stalker. "Young Uchiha, fight me and show me the illustrious lineage that gives your clan its greatness." At last, Orochimaru emerged from hiding and materialized right behind Sasuke. "Does a grass ninja believe she can kick my ass? Girly, you chose the wrong guy and day to play with me. You might end up dead if I don't control my anger," Sasuke said, leaping back from the grass ninja's range, looking ready to kill anything or anyone that came near him or gave him the wrong look. Sasuke checked to make sure she had no weapons before throwing the shurikens at her as the grass ninja stepped out onto the branch. She easily ducked the shurikens and punched him in the jaw, as well as repeatedly to his chest and stomach. As Sasuke looked at her, he could tell she wasn't a genin. Rather, she was something completely different, and the expression in her eyes was death-like. "You are the prodigy who is constantly talked about for being so amazing? You're weak, slow, and unskilled, but most importantly, you're a complete coward. My number 2 was right. For creating someone like you to carry on their greatness legacy, your Uchiha clansmen are rolling over in their graves with shame." Orochimaru frowned at the boy in front of him and said, "I should just kill you and the Uchiha ancestor would praise me for destroying Sasuke Uchiha for sullying their great name with inferiority and cowardice you display." Orochimaru looked at Sasuke and could not believe this was the best the Uchiha had to offer. As Orochimaru attacked, he held nothing back to make the young Uchiha's blood boil. Sasuke looked up battered and bruised, hoping that the grass ninja would just make it quick. Sasuke wanted to run, but fear took over and his entire body froze. All he could think was that he would never be able to avenge his clan because his destiny would end today. "Maybe I should go kill your teammates since you're so weak and useless. Instead of putting this frail child in front of me, perhaps they will challenge me." Orochimaru slithered away in search of fresh prey. Orochimaru was slithering away in disgust of the weak ninja he had high hopes for when 4 kunai came and whisked by his head. Orochimaru turned around to see that Sasuke had finally demonstrated that he was a true master of the Sharingan and was prepared to prove it to save his teammates. When Sasuke heard that statement, his heart began to race and his blood finally began to boil with Uchiha strength and hatred. Orochimaru thought, finally. Sasuke swiftly charged his target and attempted a number of combos to show him why the Uchiha family is well known and feared by everyone. Orochimaru finally realized that Sasuke's eyes were even sharper than Itachi's, and he finally had a prize worth having. As he backed up to look at the new shinobi in front of him, he quickly extended his neck and bit down on Sasuke's neck, leaving a curse mark on his neck. When Hinata and Sakura arrived, they hurried toward him at full speed, and they could tell he was in excruciating pain as he crashed into Sakura's arms. He appeared to be about to die from the wounds he sustained from his attacker. "How on earth did you harm Sasuke?" Sakura felt Sasuke's body temperature rise as she grasped him. "Who are you and will Sasuke die from this injury?" she asked, glaring at the grass ninja with resentment for harming her beloved. "Sasuke has received a wonderful gift today. He will eventually be my number 3, supporting me and defeating everyone who stands in my way." As his body began to resemble that of a snake, Orochimaru said, "Sasuke will come looking for me, and when he does the world will know of us through the destruction of nations, and he will call forth the name Orochimaru. Sensei like all those before him I trained." "Are you Orochimaru, then? Is Naruto Uzumaki in your possession? Have you caused Naruto any harm similar to what you did to Sasuke? Tell me, or you will create a foe who will come after you today." Hinata looked straight at her opponent without faltering once. "You will meet Naruto sooner than you think, but he won't be the same little boy you remember so fondly. He will be that of nightmares are made of when he returns and destroys your loved ones and village," Orochimaru said, glancing at Hinata and wondering if she loved Naruto or if she had been told that Naruto had sought him out through Mizuki. "He might even force you to watch as he murders each member of your family in front of you." I will use Naruto as my weapon of destruction and my sword of hate to strike Konoha's heart. He will be a more terrible monster than anyone has ever made him out to be." With a smile, Orochimaru disappeared from view. Naruto would never murder anyone in this village. That would be the most heinous and wicked thing he could do. Sakura jerked her head up as Hinata screamed so loudly. While she knelt down to tend to Sasuke's injuries, Hinata couldn't believe Naruto was still alive. Had he really allied himself with Orochimaru? Sakura looked at Hinata and wondered if she thought Naruto was still alive, because she knew that if he was still alive, he would not think twice about killing everyone who stood in his master's way. Sakura tried to appear as brave as she could for Hinata's sake when she said, "Let's head back to camp and wait till morning and head for the tower. Maybe Sasuke will be better by then." Sakura looked at Hinata and realized that they would not survive if Sasuke was unable to fight tomorrow morning. That night, Sasuke writhed and kept fainting as his body adapted to the cursed seal. "I hate to ask, but do you think Mikado will help us out, Hinata? He seems to genuinely care about you, and given Sasuke's current behavior, we won't make it to the tower." She steadily lowered Sasuke's body temperature by wiping his brow with a cool cloth. "You heard that Sasuke despises Mikado, and I'm not sure where he is. We'll have to work this out on our own." Hinata glanced down at Sasuke to check on him and see if the bite was getting worse. After a back and forth argument, Hinata gave up and made the decision to try to find Mikado that night. She carefully and quietly searched for him, stopping at a tent where she thought she recognized one of his teammates, Kree. As she called to Kree to get her attention, Kazuki tried to cut Hinata with his sword, but Hinata ducked and jumped down next to Kree, attacking her from the front and Kazuki from the back. When Hinata realized there was nothing she could do, Naruto grabbed both Kree and Kazuki by the wrist and threw them both against a tree. Hinata exhaled deeply in relief as she turned to face Mikado, Naruto, relieved that he had returned to save her. "What on earth are you two up to? You attack her even though she is your ally. Whoever attacked first, speak now or pay the price." Naruto said this as he prepared to strike his teammates with his kunai. Neither of them spoke. Instead, they simply gazed at the ground in the hopes that Naruto would be forgiven and that this incident would be forgotten. She looked at him earnestly, trying to calm him down, and said, "No, it's my fault, Mikado. They thought I was an enemy. I should have spoken louder and said my name." "Hinata, why are you here? Is there a problem?" Simultaneously, Naruto glared at his teammates, threatening to kill them as soon as Hinata left the camp. This weird grass ninja bit Sasuke's neck, leaving him with an odd mark. "We were wondering if you could help us get to the tower tomorrow since he appears to be in a lot of pain." She kept her gaze fixed on Naruto. He must be a personal bodyguard now that he saved her from the sand ninjas. Damn it. Kree couldn't help but treat Hinata rudely and smugly because she believed that her squad shouldn't even be given a chance to take the Chunin exam. Kazuki was shocked to learn that, despite Kree's short hair, Naruto managed to snag her to a tree by her hair with pinpoint accuracy at night without even looking at her. Naruto swiftly drew out a kunai and threw it at her, not even looking at her. As the kunai flew toward her, it grabbed her hair and attached her to the tree, leaving her head stuck against the tree. Naruto looked at Hinata and realized he could not refuse her request, and he thought that Sasuke must have finally demonstrated some great skills to give him his curse mark. Naruto knew that Orochimaru was the grass ninja. "Kree, Kazuki was moving out to help them. We'll help them because 6 ninjas are better than 3 to survive this." Naruto glanced at Hinata and nodded, saying, "Take all the provisions to their camp and we will rest there." When they arrived at Hinata's camp, Sakura was overjoyed to see Naruto and his team because she believed it would allow them to rest much more and focus on Sasuke. While everyone was eating, Naruto went to eat alone in order to consider Orochimaru's plans with the Uchiha boy. Hinata then stopped by and joined him. "Why would you go out of your way for me like this, Mikado?" She continued to stutter as though every word she spoke made her anxious, saying, I appreciate it and all, but I need you to be totally honest with me." "Why me?" She waited for his response while keeping a close eye on him. "You remind me of someone I used to know who was always amiable and never harbored animosity toward others. I don't feel so horrible about my past anymore when I see you because I sometimes remember who I was before. I want to know you better the more I see you, Hinata." Naruto was shocked that he had said those words. "I can't get to know you right now, even though I feel some sort of attraction, but I have to find Naruto," Hinata said, blushing deeply as she turned to face Mikado. As she gestured to her friend who was lying on the ground, she said, "I think he needs me especially if this Orochimaru is involved. Look at what he did to Sasuke." He left this village and never gave an explanation, but I think it's up to me to bring him back because it's been more than 2 years and I made a promise to myself to save him because this village needs someone like him. I mean, why do you care so much for him if he abandoned the village? Obviously he wasn't happy, so why do you think he would want to come back? Naruto's voice began to rise, startling Hinata slightly. You said that name before when I saved you from Gaara. What kind of hold does he have on you? Naruto could not believe he was facing off against his former self and losing the battle badly. Naruto saved me twice and never asked for anything except friendship. He saved me from 4 boys who were bullying me and he gave me courage to stand tall. My father thought I was a complete failure and disowned me from the clan. I was ready to give up and then I saw Naruto practicing every day to be better ninja. No matter what people thought of him or what was thrown, he endured and continued to move forward. Whatever happened to Naruto had to be really bad to ally himself with someone like that Orochimaru to make him turn against the village. So now it's my turn to return the favor. That's why I need to be a Chunin to search for him more freely. As she stared at Mikado as she kept looking into his gaze. As he looked into Hinata's eyes, Naruto found the courage to express his feelings. I see, he said, his voice hurt. He probably regrets all the heartache and pain he caused you. If Naruto is still with us, he is also thinking of you and is undoubtedly pleading with you for forgiveness. Don't be too hard on him. Sometimes it seems like everything is against you, but you persevere. Thank you, Hinata. I will be just as determined going forward and will persevere no matter what. As Naruto never felt so ashamed in his life, he wished he could go back in time and stay in the village with Hinata, where his love would protect him even in the face of hatred. One more thing, Hinata, Naruto isn't the strong one, you are. He doesn't deserve that kind of loyalty or love, he said. Though she cared for Naruto, she had to admit that Mikado was something of an enigma and a bad guy with a streak of love just for her, and she liked that. However, she knew those eyes were Naruto's eyes, and she figured that's why he had that sadness and strength just like her long-lost friend. As they talked, she told him stories about how he used to act and how he brightened her day with his pranks, and Naruto began to laugh heartily because he had forgotten the fun things he used to do to get attention, but mostly because he could not believe Hinata remembered every single event in his childhood. As they called it a night, they said they would get up in the morning, and hopefully Sasuke would be able to travel. I find Boy Fate to be hilarious because, although my alter ego likes Hinata, she also likes Naruto and wants Mikado as a friend, even though I'm actually Naruto disguised as Mikado. What other person in the world could have this strange love triangle with just 2 people? I suppose I am a complete moron. Well, Hinata, we have a dilemma. I am Naruto, but I have a destiny to fulfill. Why do I feel like I'm dying inside if I fully embrace my destiny by destroying my former village? He said, laughing to himself at the situation he found himself in. He heard Hinata call out Naruto's name as he stroked her hair and she slept next to him, feeling safe and secure. He watched her, grinned, and moved her to a sleeping bag, sitting Indian style and leaning his back against a tree to ensure that no one would ever harm Hinata while he was around her. Sasuke's fever finally went down when he woke up, and his anger increased when he saw Naruto, Mikado, guarding Hinata in his camp. He was about to attack Mikado for being in his camp because his neck hurt from the curse mark, but he calmed down when he saw Sakura lying next to him, keeping him safe. Mikado, I hope that one day you and I fight because you will fall down like all of the other Uchiha rivals, and we will see who is better. He stared at Naruto with hatred. Hinata was the first to wake up, and when she looked up, she saw that Naruto had been watching over her all night. She was overcome with gratitude for his generosity, and she began to feel that she was not as good of a friend to him as he was to her. She made the decision to treat Mikado the same way he treated her. You appear to be up early and prepared to leave, Hinata. As Naruto stretched his body to release tension, he said, let's wake the others and then we will leave in an hour and head straight to the tower. After a difficult night on the ground, Hinata remarked, I am surprised no one attacked us last night, as she stretched with Naruto. Naruto was astounded by Hinata's beauty at first light. Her smile was so radiant that it eclipsed the sun's dazzling rays. Well, I made a shadow clone last night to warn me of any danger just in case someone was stupid enough to try anything. You created a shadow clone? She gazed at him in wonder. You'll definitely make Chunin this year, Mikado, you are so full of surprises. We don't have time for you to show off your admiration for your new boyfriend, so let's go. Now, while everyone else is still asleep, we depart and make our way directly to the tower. I appreciate your assistance, Mikado, but I need your group to leave my squad immediately. Sasuke stated it authoritatively. Don't be impolite to Mikado and his team, Sasuke. They came to our aid in the middle of the night. Sakura walked up to him and said, "We have a plan and we should stick to it. We can all make it without any problems. We just need to trust each other." With all eyes on Sasuke, he sneered and said, "Do whatever you want," before beginning to gather his gear to get to the tower. Naruto knew that bending and letting Sasuke have his way would ensure that everything went according to plan and prevent any arguments. Sasuke could not take his eyes off Naruto, and he was going to make sure that his squad would listen to him and not Naruto. As they got a little past the halfway point, some ninjas from the stone village stopped them. There were 15 of them, and their numbers overwhelmed all the less experienced ninjas. Both squads packed their belongings and ate just enough to get the energy they needed for the run to the tower. The tall ninja gazed at the 6 of them and said, "Give us the scrolls and you can leave in peace, otherwise you get your ass kicked big time by us." Pulling out a pair of kunais, Sasuke said, "Everyone stay back, I got this, none of you interfere with me or so help me you will suffer the same fate as them." Naruto looked at Sasuke and decided that if he wants them that badly he can have them. Sakura and Hinata looked worried. They thought the stress of the exams started to take its effect on Sasuke's behavior and mind. As the stone ninjas looked at Sasuke, they recognized him as Rookie of the Year. They smiled as he walked in the middle of the area and challenged them all. As they rushed their adversary, he quickly made quick work out of 5 of them and attacked the others with great tenacity to bring them down hard and fast. Naruto thought Sasuke had finally somehow got over whatever was holding him back. As he kept fighting, he took down another 5 and was looking impressive for someone his age group. As the last 5 came, they were a different story and almost annihilated Sasuke. Sakura and Hinata were going to help but Sasuke told them to stay out of it. As the stone ninjas pounded Sasuke, Naruto noticed a spike in Sasuke's chakra along with his hatred and evil intent coming from the seal. Sasuke's body formed an unusual pattern and his eyes changed into something almost demonic. Everyone was shocked except Naruto and his teammates. Sasuke grabbed his enemies and quickly started breaking bones and decimating any who came his way. Naruto noticed that this was a different type of curse seal. It looked as if it was unstable and it increased the user's strength and speed, but it looked like you lost part of your reasoning as well. Sasuke looked at the ninjas that were no longer moving. His bloodlust rose even more. He quickly attacked Sakura when she approached him to stop. As she screamed, Kree and Kazuki tried to stop him but was batted away like flies. "You little slut with pink hair, I'm going to kill you." Sasuke's eyes shifted once more, this time with greater lust for blood. Hinata quickly activated her bloodline ability to hit his chakra points, but he caught her hands and looked as though he was going to break her arms. Naruto quickly grabbed Sasuke's arm and used his momentum to make them roll away from the group. Sasuke released Hinata's arm as him and Naruto tumbled to the ground. As Sasuke rolled over and caught his balance, he moved at a speed unmatched and punched Naruto so hard in the jaw he thought he would pass out from the blow. As Naruto rolled with the blow, he knew that Sasuke's bloodlust was coming from the seal. Sasuke attacked Naruto again, punching him repeatedly. Naruto could not recall him ever being struck so many times by one opponent. As Naruto fell down, he thought he would have no choice but to kill Sasuke. As Sasuke came rushing over for the killing blow, he was stopped by Hinata, who struck every single chakra hole to cease his attack. Naruto was so surprised that Hinata was able to stop Sasuke's rage. Naruto was so relieved he was about to kill Sasuke right in front of Hinata and Sakura. As Sasuke fell down looking drained as if he ran a 100-mile marathon. Whatever became of Sasuke? What mark gave him all that strength and speed? He was going to try to kill us all. Hinata looked so scared that she stood there trembling uncontrollably. He can't go back to the exams. He will kill everyone at the Chunin exams. As he looked at Sasuke, he pondered what to do about the current situation. Naruto went by Hinata's side and took her hands to calm her down, whispering to her in a low voice that she did great and that everything would be okay. All she could do was smile. Naruto gazed down at the weary Sasuke and said, "I don't know, but the only chance he has is to get him back to the exams so they can treat him." When Shikamaru and his group emerged, Naruto pulled out a kunai until he realized they were Konoha ninjas. He then threw the bag of scrolls to Shikamaru after grabbing all of the stolen scrolls from the defeated stone ninjas. Shikamaru grabbed the earth scroll and said, "That's what we needed, thanks." He felt a sense of deja vu as he glanced at Naruto. "I'll carry Sasuke since we can now easily reach the tower with our increased number of allies. You all remain in a 2.by.2 formation. Are you all okay after that attack, Sakura, Kree, and Kazuki?" He went to see how Kree was doing because she was obviously shaken by the incident as well. "Sasuke tried to kill me, he meant it, I seen it in his eyes." Sakura's crush wanted her dead, but she was unable to control herself. Hinata went to comfort her friend and told her that it was time to move on. As the Konoha ninjas ran toward the tower, the other ninjas did not oppose them and simply let them pass. Naruto was so shocked that he blushed so much that the rest of the group just stared, as they had never seen Hinata be so open to someone they hardly knew. Ino was shocked, as she usually only pays attention to Naruto, but Hinata was grinning. Sakura approached the two of them, thanked Naruto and asked to speak with Hinata privately. Naruto bowed and regrouped with his comrades. She looked at Sasuke and felt a chill. Hinata, we need to tell someone about Sasuke. He could kill someone and we will be responsible because we failed to warn the instructors, she said. I know he's too dangerous to compete with the rest of us. You didn't see what he did to Mikado, he nearly killed him, when Hinata glanced at Sakura. He almost murdered Mikado. That is all the more reason to tell someone. Mikado is as good as they come, and what do you think he would do to us if he couldn't handle Sasuke? Sakura started crying a little. When they gathered the scrolls, their teacher Iruka was waiting for them in their room after they had parted ways with their friends. He claimed that they were happy to see their former instructor and that he had brought guidance and instructions. As they listened intently, Iruka explained the meaning of the scrolls and that they needed to study for another test. Other ninjas were waiting for the next section of the test as they followed him into the adjacent room. The third Hokage emerged as they were surveying the area and informed them that they would face off against one another in order to move on to the exam's last section. He instructed everyone who was unable to continue to raise their hands in surrender or notify the proctor right away if they knew someone who was too weak to fight. Sakura was going to raise her hand, but Sasuke told her to stop and assured her that he was okay and would be able to control his situation. She put her hand down, believing Sasuke's words and fearing he would despise her. Sakura shook her head no, disqualifying Sasuke, and Hinata glanced at her. Naruto noticed Kazuki, Kree, and Kabuto raising their hands as he looked up. Naruto was perplexed by the actions of his three allies. Kree, Kazuki, why do you have your hands up? We have a mission and you're dropping out now, he asked. We serve Lord Orochimaru faithfully, and he wants us by his side. How can we do that if his prize, Uchiha, destroys us? Kree said as she left, wishing Naruto luck. Kazuki and I refused to lose our lives by the hands of Sasuke. You saw him, it was nothing but pure hatred. Kabuto pointed to two other ninjas wearing Konoha headbands and said, you have to compete with the rest of the group, but I can't because I have my own mission, Naruto.kun, from Orochimaru himself. As Sasuke continued to watch the screen to see who would fight, Kakashi approached and warned him not to use his Sharingan because doing so would activate his curse seal. Astonished, Sasuke nodded his head in agreement. When the matches started, Akadu Yoroi and Sasuke Uchiha faced off first. As they emerged to confront one another, with lightning speed, Sasuke charged at his opponent, and after swinging wildly, he hit him. Akadu waved his hands at himself, saying, bring it on, as he looked at him and laughed. Sasuke rushed him once more but was immediately trapped in an arm bar. Sasuke thought he would have to give up because of the pain in his arm. He quickly resisted the urge to use his curse seal as it began to activate as he struggled. As Akadu screamed in agony, Sasuke swiftly got to his feet and kicked him in the side. Sasuke was swiftly seized by Akadu once more, but this time he began to deplete his chakra. Sasuke leapt back and hurled a brief fireball at his rival as he began to drain him entirely. After diverting his attention long enough to move behind him and deliver 3 spinning kicks to his head, Sasuke swiftly caught Akadu by the waist and back suplexed him on the neck, rendering him unconscious. Anko discussed his plans for Sasuke with the third, as well as Orochimaru's encounter with her former sensei. She informed them that Sasuke was the object of his love. When the third Hokage saw that Sasuke was fighting it off without the help of the curse seal, he took notice. Sasuke went out the door to handle the curse seal as Kakashi pulled him aside. Naruto was thrilled to watch the other genins demonstrate their skills as the matches went on. He had never witnessed two women in love battling for Sasuke's affection with such strength until Sakura defied Ino. After a vicious beating they both received, Naruto was surprised that they were still friends when the match ended in a draw. He had always assumed Shikamaru was a slacker, but after his victory, he was shocked to learn that he was actually quite intelligent. At this point, Naruto believed that Shikamaru was the only person who could possibly defeat him. Temari gave Neji a cold look as she claimed to have just defeated his little girlfriend after defeating Tenten to move forward. Gaara's defeat of Rock Lee was so severe that his sensei had to step in before the Bushi. Brow Shinobi was killed. Kankuro beat his opponent in a time record. Naruto was next, the bug handler said, looking through his shades as he moved forward to search for him at the top of the stadium. Ignoring his glare, Naruto kept waiting for the next match. Choji was next, but he was defeated in a minute by the Sound Ninja Kin after a dreadful performance. Hinata was very anxious about facing Neji when they summoned her to the arena to face her cousin. Before Naruto called down to tell Hinata that she was a great ninja in her own right and not to listen to him, Neji approached his cousin and continued to insult her, telling her that she had her own kind of power and ninja way. He shouted that she could beat him and that the best way to defeat an opponent is to have faith in oneself. When the referee yelled, "Start," Neji pounded her with his fist out of sheer hatred and was determined to destroy her. Despite Hinata's heroic efforts to fight on an even playing field with her cousin, he was in every way superior to her. She was severely beaten, nearly unable to stand, but he was eventually able to defeat her. After the match, he became enraged and attempted to attack her after she said a few words to him. When Naruto saw two Chunin halt his attack, he was about to leap down and stop him. He leapt down to check on her as he watched her fall. Hinata experienced an odd sensation when he held her. Her wounds appeared to heal instantly, and she was feeling better every second. Hinata looked up, unsure of what Mikado, Naruto had done to cheer her up. The third Hokage gazed at Naruto in wonder and kept staring at him, unable to comprehend the nature of the strange chakra being released. "Hey buddy, you need to implement our plan as soon as possible. I took care of your foolish little girlfriend. Keep your mind on your own match. We take care of Orochimaru first, followed by anyone else who gets in our way." Naruto's obsession with the Hyuga girl began to irritate the Kyuubi. "Hi, you have lovely eyes. Was trying to harm her in that way really necessary? How dare you do such a thing?" The teenager looked at Naruto condescendingly while grinning, and Naruto's rage started to rise. As soon as the proctor said, "Go," she ought to have forfeited the match because she knew she couldn't compete with me. Neji continued to smile at Naruto, saying, "With these eyes I see all and I know everyone's weakness and fate. It was her fate to lose to me. Your desire to defend that wretched failure only demonstrates your own weakness and lack of intelligence as a ninja. You will suffer the same fate as your foolish little girlfriend if you challenge me." Neji kept grinning at the youngster clutching his cousin. "You long-haired asshole, it wasn't fate, it was your hatred in your fist. And you'll be wearing that smile all over your ass if you keep smiling at me like that. Given your strong belief in fate, here is a sneak peek at your future. I will use my trusty kunai to extract your eyes and crush those priceless fate. Seeing eyes in front of you, you will spend the remainder of your wretched little life carrying a white cane with a red tip." As Naruto gazed at Neji, the young prodigy became uneasy. As they argued back and forth, Naruto told him that he hoped to fight him in the finals and that it would be his pleasure to personally show Neji pain like never before. Sakura looked down at Mikado holding Hinata and knew that Neji had just entered a world of hurt. Ino asked what was really going on between Hinata and Mikado, and she had never seen someone show such concern for Hinata. Ino continued to stare at the young couple. "What kind of jutsu did you use on me, Mikado? Why am I feeling better than ever?" She kept staring at him. "I felt like nothing happened even though I was on the verge of death." When the proctor called Mikado down to face his opponent, Dosu Kunita was up and ready to fight Naruto. Kurenai looked at Hinata and saw a young man who appeared to be a knight in shining armor, ready to defend the love of his life. The entire stadium watched the two of them, and Gaara in particular, wondering how someone with all that power and potential could fight for someone else other than himself. "Everyone tells me you're really good, but is that true?" Dosu kept staring at him like a mummy from a movie from the 1920s with one eye covered. "My sound is faster than a blink of an eye. You don't stand a chance against me, kid. Why are you wrapped up like that, Raggedy Andy? Are you really that ugly to look at? My mom was too lazy to buy or make you a Halloween costume, so that's not a very scary costume. You claimed that I could be killed by your sound in an instant. I'm just that fast, mummy boy, so you better not blink with me," Naruto said, enraged by his opponent's new moniker. When the referee yelled start, Dosu swiftly raised his hand and aimed it at Naruto, who looked up in confusion to see him gone, but then fell to the ground, knocked out completely by a chop to the neck, while Naruto stood behind him, staring down at his opponent. As everyone watched the match, they heard a lot of rumors about this mysterious young genin and wanted to see his abilities for themselves firsthand. "Did I not tell you not to blink?" Naruto's speed and power left many genins, Chunin, and Junins in shock as he looked up at the stadium. Hinata grinned at Naruto after he beat Kankuro's record by defeating an opponent in a record-breaking amount of time. As he gazed up at Neji with hatred, he said, Yo Neji, don't worry, I won't be this fast when it comes to me and you, inside the stadium. I'm going to drag it out nice and slow until you're begging Hinata for forgiveness for lifting your hands for seriously trying to hurt her, only then will I put you out of your misery. As she gazed at the dark-haired powerhouse, Tamari remarked, we might have issues with this ninja. He is displaying amazing skills way beyond any genin I've ever seen. Gaara simply grinned, thinking about how alive he would feel for killing the boy beneath him. He had previously wanted the Uchiha, but now he had another target in his sights. The winners were informed by the Hokage that they would practice for 3 weeks before returning to take on their new opponents. Each of them saw who they had to battle when they looked up at the screen. As he left the Colosseum, Naruto was relieved to have Neji but indifferent to the other fighters. Sakura and Hinata hurried to catch up with Mikado, who grinned at them as they got closer. As Hinata stood in front of Naruto, he did his best not to look at them and asked, "What can I do you for?" "Nothing, we wanted to thank you again for everything and to tell you that what you did in there was amazing. We hope one day that we can repay the favor," said Sakura. "Mikado, you don't want to say hello to your old sensei? Pervy Sage, what are you doing here? I thought you were out getting research for your new book." As Naruto ran to shake Jiraiya's hand. "I am ready to become a Chunin now, so I entered the exams. So far it's going good." He grinned at his former pupil and said, "I've seen your exhibition, damn that was impressive, I don't think I could have done it better myself. So are you going to tell me why you just left me a note and disappeared? I mean, you can be honest with me, Mikado?" he asked. Naruto knew it wasn't true. The longer he stayed with Jiraiya, the less hate and anger he felt in his heart and soul. "I heard what you said earlier about my anger and you were right. I needed to sort through it, but I'm coming to terms with it though." He was aware that in order to achieve his goals, he needed that rage. As they conversed, Sakura and Hinata approached Jiraiya and gazed at the Sannin in wonder. "That's why you're so good, you have a Sannin as a sensei. Your student is phenomenal, he helped us out so much in the Forest of Death that we owe him everything. He is kind and caring and protective of his comrades. You have a great pupil who will go far as a shinobi." As Sakura kept praising Naruto, Hinata became nearly crimson red and asked, "Mikado, can we meet later so we can talk?" The words, "Sure," came out of her mouth, and Naruto glowed with passion. Sasuke couldn't believe Mikado was a Sannin's pupil, but as they were leaving, a figure on top of the building was listening to everything they said. Sakura was his biggest fan and he had never really liked her. Now that she was Mikado's biggest supporter, he was going crazy because he was not given enough credit. He left in a rage, believing that he required Mikado's sensei. Naruto couldn't help but smile as Jiraiya carried on speaking to him. Naruto glanced at Jiraiya and asked, "What are you grinning about? So it seems that you bagged yourself Hyuga babe, and not just some random Hyuga babe but the heir to the Hyuga throne, no less. See, hanging around me you picked up some pointers on picking up the babes." As Jiraiya patted Naruto on the back. "She has really strong feelings for him, and I can't compete with that because she's in love with someone else," he said, walking and staring down at the ground in a depressed mood. "Ouch, that got to hurt. Sorry to hear that, but the way she looked at you, it was like she had fallen for you already, if you ask me," he said while staring at his companion. "Men and women don't talk or act like that in real life, saying about 2 sentences to each other and then going somewhere to have sex. Come on, who are you trying to fool?" Naruto said, staring at him. "I wish I tried everything, and I mean everything, even reading your damn pervy book, which is by the way really disturbing. At least 9 times a week, this happens to me. But don't worry, I'll teach you how to get the beauty you've always wanted. On the other hand, her father might beat you up, so you had better make sure she's worth it. I can help you with your skills, of course," he said, continuing to smile at Naruto. "Heishi is very strict, and the only way you can date her is to be a very strong shinobi and show him that you have remarkable skills to date his oldest daughter. Before a woman entered my life, I felt like it was hard, but now it's so complicated and emotionally draining. Additionally, I find it difficult to speak in front of her, but she seems to know exactly what to say and do." As Naruto lowered his head to once more gaze at the ground, he said, "I thought I knew women, but boy was I wrong. The more I think I understand them, the more I realize I'm a fool for thinking that." Sigh. "Hey kid, welcome to the amazing world of dating. You'll never get it right, so just go with the flow and hope you don't make a big mistake and have to apologize." Jiraiya patted his student on the back and said, "The best thing I can tell you is to treat her like you would treat yourself, but double it for her. If I had known you two and Hinata when I was younger, I'm sure my life would have been very different. I wish I could have met you two sooner. I think I could relate to people better and be a good person." Naruto couldn't believe Jiraiya would always let his guard down when he was around, showing a part of his wounded side that he wanted to forget. Hey, I have a lot to show you, and you're still young. But let's go somewhere a little less crowded first, Jiraiya said, taking out a notebook and pencil. Are you kidding me, man? Right now, don't you want to go take a look at the women in the bathhouse? Consider this part of your training for the Chunin exam. You will need stealth, ninjutsu. Are you aware that you are tainting my innocence? As Naruto comes to a halt. Nonsense, my boy, I have to show you the beauty of the ninja world by snooping on gorgeous women in my capacity as your sensei. My boy, being a ninja isn't just about fighting and completing ninja missions. Jiraiya took Naruto by the shoulder and drew him in close. Naruto grinned broadly, wondering if Jiraiya would be like him if he had a grandfather. Jiraiya turned to face Naruto and saw that the boy in front of him had finally taken off the mask he had been wearing and was starting to show who he really was.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.